Oh, sweet Thursday. It's Thursday again. Hey. It's the Hangout.
Cheers to a Thursday. Clink. Cheers, everyone. Hope your Thursdays are going well. Mine has been going great. Been hanging out with my good friend Adam for the last hour, just talking about our lives. It's been awesome. Talking about the show.
Hells yeah.
Oh man, now I
gotta get that sub on. We're gonna start the train. We've never got a full-on train going. I don't think.
That's true. Yeah.
I gotta say, like, when I say a train, I mean a
hype what does
train.
That mean? Phrasing, please.
Only I guess I would think of that, unfortunately. Oh, and there's Ryan. 22 months, sir. Excellent.
Hey, Higgs, Disturbed Shifty.
Disturbed with us tonight.
Yeah.
You have limited time to earn exclusive emotes. There's that hype train coming. What? Oh, my God. See, that's what we need to get some of those animations that you could do. Oh, you got it. That's good. Hey, thanks for joining us tonight. Ryan and I are both like on this exhaustion run of like craziness going on in our lives as always is.
We're running on fumes tonight, so it's gonna be a good one.
Ryan was on Red Bull and monk fruit.
I'm drinking Red Bulls and whiskeys.
I'm about an hour and a half, almost 2 hour wait on some pizza that was supposed to arrive for dinner that I have not eaten yet because apparently 60 pizzas were ordered before mine.
Yeah, 60. Somebody ordered 60 pizzas right before Adam's. But you know, I guess we don't know that. That's what I would say if I was a Domino's who had screwed up an order and not gotten you your pizza in 2 hours.
I know.
I might say that too.
It was pretty sad. So, but it's okay. We're here. We make the time for this, and we make sure that we prepare a show and do what we need to do.
And thank you everyone out there for making the time to come and hang out with us.
Honestly, I appreciate it because it feels like we're always hanging out with our friends. And, you know, the 2 week time period between this is there's so much that goes on. Yeah. We're able to jump in, learn about things. I was telling Ryan before the show that it was a challenge for me to like keep myself mentally like tuned in to the things that I needed to do because I've had a presentation every single day of this week and I still have another one tomorrow and I had to like put this one into that whole presentation. So I printed mine out, like I had it folded. It was in my pocket. This made its way up to mountains, all the way up and like to changing leaves, sitting on rocks reading this. So like the amount of time and effort that I put into just like getting these little incremental insights is pretty fun.
You know, you gotta get in that studying when you can, right? Maybe it's sitting on a rock in nature. You just whip that bad boy out and start learning about our topic this week. Do you want to say what our topic is?
Yeah, let's talk about the topic. So Ryan and I have been on the kick about talking around a lot of AI lately, and we of course will talk about that in the news. But one of the areas that I had been interested in thinking a lot about is it's just art in the general sense. So last time we talked about film and TV and how that's changing industry, and I wanted to take something a little more. I wouldn't even call it lighthearted because it has some serious impact to those creatives out there. But I wanted to talk about something that, you know, sits in my mind as a creative, things that Ryan is experiencing, things that you're experiencing out there. I know Disturbed has some hot takes on art and AI and really the big paradigm shift that we're seeing. And we've seen these points in time where things have changed in the art world and they adapt and things move forward. So we're going to do our full on past, present, future look and talk a little bit about what we think this is going.
And I think it's cool because it's a good addition to what we talked about last week, you know, which was like movies and TV, which sort of feels like big studio commercial, like teams of people doing things and how that affects it. But it's also, you know, it also affects individuals who are creating stuff and want to make a living at that, or two, just like want to be able to make things that are inspiring to them and to other people. So we'll see. I will say it was interesting doing the research for this because I sort of had a one track that I was on, and doing enough research and doing things, I was kind of like, hey, I feel like I could be open to either side of this, whether or not this is a massive paradigm shift in how all art is going to be created, or if it's just another, bump on the road of new tools. So cool.
Howdy, Mike Zool.
Yeah, Mike Zool in the chat. Thank you for hanging out. So obviously that's the main topic. We're going to be digging into that. And then we're also going to be talking about a bunch of cool news that have happened. So there's been stuff that has been released recently that we want to talk about. There's fun like robot stuff. There's just things in art and technology and creativity. We got 3D printing story. A lot of fun things to talk about at the beginning of the show.
Absolutely. I'm excited. I do want to call out that I got to shake Mike Azul's hand today.
Oh, man.
Hours away from this, and so I feel like it's fresh on here. We have some really good
preserve that
folks.
hand
for sure. Always good to see our friends in person as well.
Yeah.
I mean, not just through this, but I didn't get to chat too long, but I would have loved to have a little bit more. Maybe next time up there we can hang out and go play a board game or something like that.
Totally.
So Ryan. Questions for humans are our typical thing. I hope I wash that hand. No.
You don't know where
Never washing this hand. It's like been touched by the god. Oh, and then I have Laura, and she's in there too, and I was able to also see her in person. So
man.
wow. Thank you for coming and hanging out with us tonight. It feels so special.
The entire chat is just like Adam's friends. if only I had some friends.
You do. You got He Higgs. We got Disturbed. All of our friends are here tonight.
Nice.
It's great to hang out with y'all. Oh, and Stealth Mouse.
Stealth Mouse, love it.
Oh my gosh, the regs are here.
The crew is here. Okay.
We would love we need your participation tonight.
Yeah.
Like help get us like. Is Riz the right word?
Riz up.
Riz us up, folks, because we're on a bender of the week.
And lots of creative people in the chat, I know, right? So this topic that we're going to be talking about, lots of applicable things for people to talk about. Okay, first, the questions for humans. I'm going to pull a card from the deck, a card that we haven't seen before, questions for humans. Who in the room is most likely to become famous and why? This is a great question because there's only 2 people in the room.
Oh my God.
Who between Adam and I, who is most likely to become famous and why?
Okay, I have a hot take on this. I think it's Ryan.
No, I was going to say the opposite. I was going to say Adam. So good.
You both are. We're on Twitch.
Nice.
Well, no, you have some interesting luck sometimes. And things that like
you're
just
like Ryan is lucky as hell, so it might be him.
I think it's you. Well, and you know what? It doesn't say like became famous for what. Like maybe the word infamous in there and why.
Like, now we're talking infamous. That's of course Ryan because he's gonna go on some killing spree. Of course, obviously at some point.
Yeah, you're already famous. You got the zoo video, bro. I mean, is that you or is that your son? I mean,
exactly.
where is it? The fame
internet famous of 10 years ago is not, or 15 years ago is not exactly famous.
OnlyFans.
Who's gonna be famous on the OnlyFans? So I would say that like I would say you, because you have sort of a wider, broader network of people and you sort of know more people, more outgoing, I would say, like more extroverted. And so I feel like that helps with things like that to become famous, right? Like I'm almost like, ooh, I would love to be part of some amazing like project that becomes really famous, but like I'm good with being in the background of that. Like I don't necessarily need the fame.
I appreciate that. And you know, I feel like in my prior life, like most kids, like I want to be a movie star or I want to do this thing. And so I would say like I maybe resonated with that perspective.
Yeah.
I'd say like as I've gotten older in life, just having good friends and relationships with people has been like honestly the thing that fills me up the most, and being able to connect with people, and like this is so satisfying. And I've seen like folks get famous, well, not that I know them, but they you know some stories, and it seems like it's kind of daunting. Like would I don't know, I just wanted to say that because yes, there was a time where I was like it would be awesome to be famous.
Right.
Lately I've been like I'm feeling pretty good with my life, and it feels good that I'm can walk down a street and
Yeah.
not have people like, oh my God, who's that person?
Right, exactly. That's what I always feel like. I never wanted to become famous. I feel like that, oh God, being in the spotlight all the time with all of your, every little move, being, everyone online and everyone talking about it all the time. Like, how could that not just mess with your head? Where I'm like introverted enough where I was like, yeah, if I was famous and had a bunch of money because I was, involved with something that was amazing, and I just like, nobody knew who I was and I could just go and do whatever. Great. That sounds like the best.
But there's a story about you. Ryan wanted to change his name at one point to Ryan Styles.
It was a very short-lived decision. Yeah, well, I was just like, after high school, I was kind of like, Higley, not maybe the sexiest last name, in the entire world. And I was like, hey, I'm going into art. Like, sometimes people who are artists change, they have like almost stage names, right? And so then I was like, Ryan Styles, that could be cool. And somebody was like, there's already a person named Ryan Styles, who is a comedian.
There it is.
And I was like, oh, right. Yeah, I guess.
I think he was going to spell it with a Y though, right?
Y, yeah.
So,
well, because I wrote time, like, anyway.
It's the whole like
there was a whole thing that was thought of.
It's because of our names too, like Trienemy and Abdonimus. Like that was a lineage piece in our life, right? Ryan's name, it actually has his name in TYME. If you look at it,
which was the name that I wrote graffiti with, not very much, but like on paper and stuff, because we hung out with a bunch of skateboarders who were into graffiti, and artists that were into graffiti, and so like I would try graffiti stuff, which I feel like helped with even knowing typography and things later on, being able to look at that. But yeah, so it's Time and Ryan combined together. What is that called when you combine words together? Anyway,
it's like I can't remember what it was, but I know like we used to be known as Bones and Time, and I was BONES,
yep.
and then TYME,
yep.
And then this is all started from Xbox
portmanteau. That's it. Yep.
And portmanteau. And so in Xbox we had to pick gamer tags, and we're like, oh, our like names had
they were gone. Of
and
course,
we were
of course,
the first
TYME.
to it.
I know.
Like, what the hell? So we were like, all right, we're gonna integrate our first name and that name. And I remember like going back and forth and like getting it all. It's like sweet. Those have been awesome.
Great. Those have been great gamer tag names for sure. That is my online name. That is what I use in everything, and it's never taken. So that's great.
From the original Halo, like no, we created that. My background on Bones was because I always wanted to be an archaeologist, and I'm like a white dude.
I didn't know that.
And because I was so like a white guy that like I collected bones. I was like a weirdo.
I mean, I always
that.
Figured it was because you had like the horror movie collection and things like that.
But any case, that was a good little rabbit hole to go down.
Okay. Do you have another?
I do have a question. I actually even researched it and bolded it before the show because I knew you were going to say, what's something you wish you were better at emotionally? I'm going to go into the emotional side of it.
Man, emotionally.
So I'll go ahead and start since I asked if you're good, unless you had something.
No, please.
So I think, and this sounds kind of like, it might sound bad, but I wish I sometimes didn't care as much. Because I feel like I care about so much that it overwhelms me, and I constantly am thinking and stressed out. I wish I can sometimes be like, you know what, whatever, let that thing go. And like, so I don't feel so emotionally, I don't know, drained in a way.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a negative way, but it feels like I have I care about a lot of people and a lot of things. And so I think about it a lot. I navigate that space. And so if I was able to be a little less, I don't know, emotionally attached and have this cognitive connection with so many things and be able to like, I just need a rest. That might be something nice.
No, I feel like that's a good one. I feel like that is a little bit of one of my superpowers is like, there's a little Gen X in me that just goes like, who gives a shit about any of this? Like, and I feel like a lot that comes up a lot in my life where like something starts getting too stressful or something starts getting too hard, in some ways. And I feel like I have a good thing where I'm just like, I don't don't care about it. There's like very few core things that I care about in my entire life. And if those things are going bad, then yes, I'm like ruminating about them a lot and stuff like that. But like, definitely, I mean, I feel like I'm pretty good at my job, but like, definitely if the job went away or they were just doing something, I'd be like, whatever. Like, they would replace me in a minute. And I'm just going to say the same thing that like I would get. So I'm not going to work super overtime. I'm not going to do any of that. There's also just like other stuff in my life of like, you know, the house or possessions or things like that, where I'm just sort of like, whatever, if those things go away, who cares? You know, like it's not important.
But you're like that. I remember one time going to your house and you're like, time to clean. You were just like throwing crap away. And I was like, that's like a brand new thing. That's a brand new eraser. I remember it very specifically in your house on.
I feel like I have been, you know, sometimes you have to be the non-pack rat in the house, and sometimes that forces you in a direction of just being like, house got to get clean. It's never going to get clean if we're organizing and doing this stuff. Like, we're not going to do it. It's just going to be a dirty house. So I'm throwing away things.
So that's an example of my like fatigue. Like, this sounds dumb, but when I was a kid, I had a He-Man poster in my closet and like tore on the corner. And then my parents are like, tore up poster, throw that away. Oh, I remember having dreams at night of it like windily pushing its way through the dump heaps of the thing and being like, so like, oh my God, it's out there cold. And I was like, freaking poster, but I can't like disconnect from that.
Right.
From
it's like Toy Story.
It was very much so. Yeah. And it's like a lot of that. Is
I would say if there's one thing that I could be better at, I feel like is like maybe leaning into uncomfortable conversations or things like that. I feel like a lot of times when there is uncomfortableness or you know, just conversations or things that I don't want to have, I'm way more likely to just either be like, well, I'm out of here, you know, and like disengage from it, or coalesce, you know, and just be like, well, I don't want to talk about that, or I don't want to like have any like, so whatever, if you just want to do whatever, that's fine, you know. And so I feel like I sort of just so that the uncomfortable conversation is over as fast as possible, like I'm willing to either just back away, and sometimes that's good, like you need space to, you know, to think about that and then come back together. And I feel like I've been getting better at that over the years, but you know, hey,
I have this like inner voice sometimes, and I used to be similar to that, but I remember I couldn't even watch shows that had awkward stuff. I was like, I gotta switch the channel and come back to it. Me too. But I've gotten way more comfortable with awkwardness, and like it's a weird thing. Like, I guess I've been more vulnerable and like, all right, well, let's just have a conversation about this kind of thing, and people are like, ugh, and I'm like, you know what? It's like, whatever. Oh, I'm going to have this discussion.
I feel like I need that. I need to be like, I need to take a acting class or like a, you know, what is that where you act, just an improv class, and just like stand in front of a bunch of people and just be embarrassed and awkward and just like get it out of my system that it is okay. Like that I feel like that would be a thing that would help me.
We were talking about having an improv section on the show,
and every time Adam will bring up things to be like, let's go do the show in the middle of a bar where we just bring in people and talk with them, and I'm like, that sounds like nightmares that I have, you know? So if you want to do that, I guess, like, I will be, you know, cowering in the corner and letting you take
one of these days. We're going to do it.
Maybe I was channeling Ryan Stiles with that name choice.
We got to jump into improv. I do want to call it some chat. So Disturbed talks about controlling my anger.
Totally. Outbursts of anger. Like that's totally a thing. Like,
you know, I think there's like an ebb and a flow to that too. Sometimes I feel like I'm too like take it on the nose. And
like Adam's calling the pizza guy that has been, he ordered pizza 2 hours ago. He's like, hey, just checking on the thing. Oh, yep, pizza. Okay, if pizza's coming, then that.
50 good. Pizzas, it's all good,
that's
sir.
Fine. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, good. I was like, tear that Domino's guy a new asshole, Adam. You ordered this shit 2 hours ago. You should have 10 free pizzas coming to your house.
Fair enough. I mean, I just like, I know that guy, it's not his fault. And
that's what I do. That's what I
problem.
do. I go like, that guy doesn't, like whatever. The shit happens.
Well, and also like if you can control it, sometimes there's like tense situations that happen at work, and I can see other people get affected by it. So, example, you're in a classroom, something breaks technology wise, and like
they get flustered,
and they get flustered, and the tech comes in, they're like, "Oh my god, this is gonna take forever," and I'm like, "Bro, your energy is screwing this up,"
exactly.
And I'm like, we got this. We're going to get you back in there. In the back of my head, I'm like, oh my God, how are we going to do this?
Oh my God,
oh my God. But I'm like, I know if I could bring the energy, you're going to feel good.
Half of everything is vibes.
Hell yeah.
I think we've realized. Okay, I have a question for you, Adam.
Yeah, let's go.
What's the early, no, wait. No. What's the first big purchase you saved up for as a kid or a teen?
Oh, wow. Oh, bam, right off the top, I know what this one is.
All
and
right.
it's classic, Ryan. Classic.
Okay.
The Game Boy.
What?
100%. That was my biggest one.
How did I know what this was?
Did you know what that was?
No, I didn't. Like, I mean, it fits perfectly though.
So here, and maybe that's why I have such an affinity.
Disturbed
for it.
N64. I can see
yeah.
that came out about our sort of high school time. I can see that. Okay.
I mean, it's funny that it's game systems.
Yeah. Well, because I feel like parents are like $200 for this game system. I don't get you that for Christmas. You're gonna have to pitch in some.
Well, so here's the quick backstory is my parents did not want me to watch TV. We never had cable. My dad went so far as unplugging the television, drilling a hole through the plug, and putting a lock in it when he would leave the house.
Wow.
Just because he was like, I do not want you watching television ever. So my childhood was that. And so when everyone was getting Nintendos and all these things, I was like, I want a Nintendo. And one time I remember them being like, sweet, we will rent you one from Blockbuster.
Yep,
and I had it for like a weekend.
Case.
And I was like,
big black
case. Oh my God, I got them. And then like gone.
Yeah, man.
And
it's like they gave you some drugs, and then we're like,
was,
oh, we're taking that away. Wasn't that fun?
And so I remember very vividly that I had saved up because it was $100, just a bit over 100.
Yep.
And remembering like this is the most money that I had, and I had to like wait a year to get it because like birthdays and all that kind of stuff. And we're at a mall in Denver. I remember walking in and being like, one Game Boy, please. And the guy like packaging up and me like not even knowing how to pay, just giving him, he's like, you gave me like too much money. And then I got it. And then of course, like the only game I had was Tetris, and I didn't have money to buy another one. So for a good like 6 months to almost a year, I played Tetris on my Game Boy, but I felt like that was the most like.
And your parents were fine. Your parents were fine with the Game Boy
because I don't think they understood what I got, and like like it was so new to them, and they were in that world, and I was like, "This is so good," and it was amazing. So I love that Game Boy, and I use it, and I still own it to this day.
I'm sure there are probably earlier things in my life that I'm not thinking about. I do know that in high school, I think there might have been two things that I really thought about and saved up for. One was a pair of Ken Griffey Jr. sneakers that were like teal in that sort of Seattle teal color, and they were expensive sneakers, and I remember like wanting those and getting those. And then also my second pair of like inline skates. So I was an inline skater in high school, and like, that did not age well, but like whatever. And when my very first pair, I had like worn them out and to nothing. And, I'd replace wheels and bearings and stuff, but I was like, no, I'm getting a new pair of skates. And so I saved it up and like went down to the store. And I remember like asking the guy at Big 5 Sports or whatever, like a bunch of inline skating questions, assuming that this guy would know anything about that. And he was just like, I have no idea, man. You obviously know way more about this than me. Here are the online skates that we have. And this was sort of pre-internet of looking things up. And I was like, well, I guess, I remember I had a magazine, and so I knew sort of the brands that I wanted, but other than that.
Let's clarify this for the chat, because this is recorded. It's going on our YouTube. Is Ryan was actually a very aggressive skater.
Aggressive inline skating.
It was not just like, oh, I'm going to go down the little nature center here, but he's grinding rails.
Yeah,
you had things that you were doing. Ryan was like that kind of guy.
That was fun. It was like a fun thing before I sort of had a car and everything. We would skate around the whole town, and we would wax up corner, curbs and things like that. That was fun.
Remember the grind bar that I got? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And I think you used the hell out of
did.
it. It was like a thing.
That was sweet. Like making our own little ramps in front of the house and stuff.
That's why all of my teeth are out.
That's why all of my teeth are gone.
No, I mean, it's a real thing. Did you know that, right?
I didn't know how they had, it was oh, that's right. It was a ramp. I remember the story. It was a ramp and it had a brick or something and it just fell down as you were going over it. And
because I thought I could stand on a bike going off a ramp, and I face planted.
Yikes.
And then the bike came for the second double tap.
My two front teeth are fake because of a biking accident as well.
To the fake teeth folks out there. Thank you, dentists.
Thank you, dentist.
That's right. Oh,
okay.
Man. Wait. We got to look at chat here. We got some good things. So going back to the first question, looks like Laura has hard time taking breaks, feeling guilty and lazy, man, that's tough. Like that's the life of like when I play video games. I'm like, oh my god, I could be doing this in the house, or
I could
that.
be doing other things. Absolutely.
Oh.
I am the type of person who wants to be going. I have 10 projects going at all times.
Yes.
I just met with a bunch of previous colleagues at different jobs, and we were talking about all the things that we're doing, and people were like, yeah, like Saturday I sort of like laid out for a couple hours and read a book, and I was like, I did 87 things on Saturday, like it's hard to slow down and smell the roses.
I know. And sometimes I think that space helps you think things through and you answer some questions.
Yeah.
I like that. So Lego Game Boy, I did order it when you showed it the first time. It's coming from Amazon soon, so I will have that. We're planning on building it on the 24-hour stream. So thanks for the plug on that.
Yeah.
The Christian skating rinks. Yeah, I mean that was the thing. Like going to the skate rinks as a kid, for sure. That's what Michael Zula does. Oh man.
My he Higley who brought up something from my past.
I didn't know this.
So in the chat bringing up things from my past. So I decided.
Great. Tell me this.
So I was 18 years old. It was literally 4 days after my birthday, which happened to be 4/20. And happened to be the day that Columbine was shot up.
Oh my God!
Like, of all things, I'm at high school, and I've made an appointment with Adam's, friend, tattoo artist, and I'm like, great. I have the money that I've saved up. I've saved up $200 to get my very first tattoo, and I've drawn it out myself, and I've done all the things. And I leave gym class early because, my appointment. So I figured it all out. And I have left my money clip with $200 of what I have saved up for this tattoo. I get halfway to the tattoo place and I go, oh my God, I don't have that money. What happened to it? And so I haul ass back to the high school. I literally, right in front of the cop, I pull in across like 2 handicap spots. I just leave my car running and just open the door. The door is just left open, and I run into there. And the gym has the classes have gone out. The gym is right next to the cafeteria, and there's a million people in the cafeteria right next to the bathroom where I was changing. And I was like, we're done. It's not in there. Like, I've screwed myself over. I'm not going to be able to get back tattoo. As I'm walking back out, there's a kid in my gym class showing a bunch of girls the $200 that he had found in the bathroom, and I just like grab it out of his hand.
Great story.
And I'm like, that's mine. And I run out the door. And that was it. And he was just like, like all I remember seeing was him being like, what? And then I just ran out the door because I was already late. And so I go and do that, and I get the tattoo, and I come back the next day, and I tell that kid, I was like, sorry about how dramatic that was, but here's what was happening.
Oh, wait. What tattoo is this?
Right here.
Oh, look at it.
Right there.
There it is.
My $200 tattoo.
That's awesome. It's like,
there it is.
Look at that.
Then later on got the matching one that winter.
Look how I covered up on this end.
Covered up on that side, of course.
Which is
but,
funny.
you know.
So that is an amazing story. I do not remember that story. Thank you for sharing that.
Very dramatic. Thank you, He Higley, for bringing that up.
Hi, Vodix. Welcome to the chat. That
nice.
was man, that had me cracking up. I could see that guy. I could see that happening in there.
Right.
These are great questions for humans and our own questions tonight. I think we're nailing it.
We had good questions.
Oh my God!
All right, should we jump into this news? Because I feel like there's great news things to talk about too.
I feel like there's always some good news, and of course, as we always talk, there's a bunch of stuff that's going on with AI, and something that dropped today,
literally
in terms
today,
of AI. So we're going to talk about it.
I saw this hours before we started, basically.
Just quick timeout.
Oh yeah,
pizza's here. The pizza's here.
Only 2 hours after.
It's quite literally hours after that.
Great. All right. During the break, you can run up and grab a slice.
Hopefully, somebody's gonna go get him. Maybe I wait 2 hours before I go to answer my door for this thing. So
exactly, we'll see how they like it.
Hopefully, my son's not asleep. All right.
Yeah.
I hear him walking around up there.
All right, good. Okay.
All right, let's jump in. So ChatGPT has released something called Pulse. Ryan, give us a little bit of an insight what this is about.
So, a couple hours ago, literally this is hot off the presses. ChatGPT released this new thing called Pulse. It's only for pro subscribers, which is at the $200 tier. I don't know who is giving ChatGPT $200. But anyway, they can try it out. And what this is this is them trying to say, well, what is ChatGPT right now? If I have a question, if I have something that I need help with, if I have a some sort of something, I'm going to ChatGPT with it. ChatGPT isn't coming to me. Like I'm initiating the conversation with ChatGPT. And what this is trying to do is saying, hey, connect all your Gmail, connect your Google Docs. We know a lot about you. We've obviously, you've been chatting with us and doing stuff. So what it wants to do is say overnight while you're sleeping, and it
did it say that
it
overnight?
talks specifically about doing this overnight. Like that is its thing. And what it wants to do is then in the morning surface something to you that goes, hey, here's everything that I know about you. Here's the community that you live in. Here's all the stuff. And here's some things that might interest you. So it's kind of doing that same thing as like, a normal algorithm for social media would do, right? But because it, knows a little bit more about you, or you can add things. And then what you can do is you can go into it and say, well, here's things that I'm interested in, right? I'm a Mariners fan, so I want to see like things about the Mariners. I'm into art and creativity and technology. And so you would sort of add that kind of stuff, and then it will give you that. And I put this into ChatGPT to be like, there was a whole article. I need you to summarize your own article to me, ChatGPT. And it came up with some things that that they had thought of that could be bad. And one of those things that I thought was interesting was it said it doesn't want you to endlessly scroll through this whatever thing it's giving you in the morning, right? It's not meant to be a doom scrolling Reddit or something like that, right? That just endlessly gives you new topics that you might be interested in and new articles and all of that kind of stuff to read. It's more like a digest that happens overnight and, is supposed to be an interesting little piece that when you get up in the morning, you're like, oh, hey, maybe there's something happening in Colorado Springs where I live, right? Or like it intersects with some sort of, interest that I have. And so it's trying to do that. So one, it's trying to infiltrate itself even more into our lives, right? So that it can be this thing. But I also thought like, hey, isn't that kind of what I want AI to be doing, is sort of looking at me, knowing everything that I are thinking about and doing and interests me, and showing me relevant things to my life. I mean, I don't know. In some ways that seems okay, but Adam is shaking his head.
I know I'm really pessimistic about these things lately, because it just feels like we're getting pulled into these channels, these ways of thinking where it's going to force its way into how we would think. And so I know I have a debate internally because I don't know. I'm just one dude. Sure. But the idea that I can't organically find something or be like, oh man, that piqued my interest and I never knew about this thing. Now AI
I
is
mean,
going to
that's
be
not
like,
happening now.
Not
Your
lately.
your algorithm is very
It's
set to what you
it is.
are and your bubble.
I'm a
and-
Fediverse person, Ryan.
Oh, man.
I find things I know. I am getting like fed things like this, and I think this has been a problem, but it's getting worse and worse and worse. Now I'm gonna have something that tells me what I should be giving a crap about, what I should be doing, and like put me down this channel where I feel like my choice is less and less there.
Well, the only thing that I would say is what I would hope that something like this does is not go down the social media thing of being like, whatever bubble Adam's in, keep bubbling that bubble, right? What I would hope it would do is say, what if inside there you said, I want dissenting opinions, right, on things, or I want international news, or I want hyper local news. I mean,
you prompt it before is the concept.
Because like you can go in the background and say, here's the things that I'm interested in. Here's what I want from a morning digest. And then, I mean, if all it's doing is hitting dopamine stuff, then this is bad.
I'm feeling like, yes, when you think about AI as just this like weird thing out there that does that, but like there's humans behind the scenes pushing the buttons and they're like, hey, Ryan, McDonald's McGriddle sounds really great this morning.
Right.
It's only a couple miles away from your house, but as you're going to your coffee at Starbucks, we really hope that you stop by and
doesn't that sound
us.
delicious?
I'm loving it, baby.
and we know that your commute goes right by these two different McDonald's.
But if you take this back way, you could also go and enjoy this restaurant that sells these breakfast burritos because they paid money into it, and now it's like, because how you gonna monetize this damn thing? That apparently is still bleeding money.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's where I always come back to. We're gonna end up with large language models that you end up paying for, one in your house, and it's only thinking about your benefit, right, as opposed to, late stage capitalism's benefit.
Well, and that's the thing. We're gonna get bled dry before we're too far. So, interesting kind of tech. And I think that, those that continue to critically think about things will fight against it. But sometimes I feel like it's a tsunami. The only thing stopping us is the power and compute that it takes to get into AI at this point, which is we'll talk about.
We'll talk about that a little bit too.
So interesting. That dropped today. If you want to drop $200 and become a zombie, go for it.
Yeah,
let us know
if you want to sign up for a pro account and tell us about it. Good.
Now, I did sign up for a pro account on Claude for just that one month, which is helpful. So let's just jump into some statistics. We're going to talk about a Pew survey on Americans' outlook of AI, and I thought this was interesting as I had read through it. They did a survey on around 5,000 adults. Mm-hmm. This happened mid-year this year in June, and they just wanted to understand what do you think about AI? Like, what are some of the things that you appreciate about it? What are some things that you're like, I'm a little bit more skeptical on that? And then like some things that they're thinking on a high level, the philosophical things, the human society kind of impacts that are out there. So, of course, mixed emotions. And I think you and I kind of took both sides of it right there. Yeah. But just the idea that most of them have heard about AI. And I think that made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So
95% of people had heard about AI.
And it's funny because it's like AI just became the thing and it got infused in every damn thing that's out there. It's like probably at the checkout as you're at the grocery store, and it's nuts. But then I think there's a lot that are concerned about it. So there was like 50% say that they're more concerned about where this is headed than excited. So it's like a 50-50 split, it sounds like.
Yeah.
But that's up from when it first came out. When we first came out, everyone's like, oh my God, AGI is around the corner.
Yeah.
Our lives are going to be better. As jobs started to get kind of changed, as we started to see some different changes around how like good it can do certain things and take people, it was like, okay, well, it's a little bit more.
So it went up from 37 to 50% basically, half and half say excited about its use or concerned about it.
So as we go through the report, there was a strong majority, 57%, that said there's some societal risks to it. And I'm actually like, I'm part of that 57%.
Yeah.
I use AI, and I'm not going to even be on any high horse like it's not affecting me in some way, because I sometimes feel like, am I stupider for having to go and use this right now? Like, do I really have to put every email through this to make sure that it like the grammar and it's like sentence structured well? And honestly, even in the last month or two, I've been like, I'm gonna go raw and old school.
Yeah,
Anal.
nice.
I'm gonna write this email and I'm gonna hit send without AI. And I don't know. So in any case, I feel like there is something that's there. That there's some risk to us to becoming maybe the what is it, the Idiocracy movie,
Totally.
like getting a little bit dumber on that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Pew Research is great. I feel like some of these questions are worded in a certain way that's sort of, if you're like, hey, what do you think about AI and creativity and critical thinking? Like, I feel like they're a little leading. It's like, hey, those could affect those. And if you sort of know a little bit about it, you're like, yeah, that could be bad. I could see that being bad. I feel like a lot what I saw from this is like people have sort of a general idea that AI probably is going to take over jobs, probably is going to make us like not critically think as well. But that was like, for the most part, that I got from this. It's just sort of, even though 95% of people have heard of it, I don't know if necessarily like a whole bunch of people have really internalized what this is going to mean to society. Even when they've sort of geared the questions, I feel like almost to show the negative side.
It's interesting you say geared the questions to it. So I'm going to take a neutral position on this because I can't say one way or another. But I did take an audience research class in college and how you develop very unbiased kind of neutral surveys that get us that way. And I would hope that Pew did that, unless they used AI to develop their questions.
Sure. I mean, of all places, Pew should be the gold standard of this. So maybe there is no easy way to talk about it in a neutral way.
I think my lens on this goes from this, is that we've seen since the onset of social media, or things in the early 2000s, as it's gone forward, that people started engaging and doing all this connections with things, but then we started to see people and their relationships to become, and I would say maybe more superficial, like not in person. Yeah. Let's just like talk through the phone. Let's talk through this. Now we've got AI that you can talk to in a sense. You can get like advice from, or you can, and it feels human.
Yeah.
And so I guess what I'm saying is that these negative effects that we're seeing, it seems to keep getting worse and worse, where people are like, I'm going to go sit in my bed and talk to AI tonight instead of go out and try to freaking meet someone and develop a meaningful relationship with them.
Totally.
And I don't know.
Less friction doing that, there's less like idea that somebody could be a jerk to you or things like that. Just like sit home with your sycophantic AI.
We were supposed to talk about less friction this week. Now that you just said that, that was supposed to be the topic, but it's coming up. I guess one thing about this one is that they said younger adults, they're more aware of it, but they're more likely to also interact with it, and they're also more pessimistic about it.
Yep.
But it's here. We can't do anything. We're gonna do it.
I feel like young people are like, I gotta use it to even stay up with what's happening, and also, but I know this is going to be bad.
So we front loaded AI so we can get into some non-AI conversation in a little bit here. Ryan, you want to talk through this one a little bit? This one was like a ChatGPT study, a little bit, not the Pew study, a different one here.
Yeah. So basically, this is something that like ChatGPT went, hey, we looked at all of our usage of ChatGPT by people, and we sort of put out a bunch of stats. I mean, obviously, like, we've known this for a while, that this is like the most adopted technology of all time, right? Going from 0 to like 700 million daily users or weekly users of their service is like crazy. I mean, so, and I thought it was really interesting. They basically put out a bunch of stuff, and some of it was like, all right, well, when we first started using this, 80% of this was male dominated, right? 80% of people using it. And now it's basically 50-50, 52% now are female. So it shows like there were sort of early adopters of probably tech nerd dudes, and then we got the rest of society into it.
I felt that was like an interesting thing, and I have no basis for this assumption here, but the idea that there's more females, even if it's only about 2 to 3% more utilizing ChatGPT. I'm just curious if it's because of the written aspects of it.
Yeah.
Like I've seen some differentiation. Like guys are usually visually oriented and like pictures and things like that, where women tend to and like some writing and some other kind of.
But I also feel like guys are more in types of jobs that maybe wouldn't use AI as heavily in their jobs, like maybe more manual labor type jobs and things like that, right? Where you wouldn't need to use some of that. Maybe like older males are maybe less likely to use it, things like that. I mean, but still, like 52 to 48 is like within the margin of error, right?
Yeah,
of like
right
half
in the middle.
and half.
But I just think it's funny that that's a huge swing. 80% in 2022 to now a 50-50 split.
That's just what you get when everyone uses it, right?
I thought the interesting thing that we were talking about before the show was the split. Like you and I use it for work.
Yeah.
But
almost entirely.
But more people are leveraging it for non-work.
Yeah. Like getting advice, right? Asking, just like queries, almost like it was like a browser, like using it as Google, things like that. Way higher than even the work side of it. I don't know. Does it have a percentage there? 28% involved like writing assistant for work queries. 42% was work related queries. So 60, almost 60% is not work related, is asking advice, things like that. I mean, I think that's really interesting. I don't necessarily use it for that all that much, but obviously that is a huge use case.
It's been interesting because one of the assistants I had created that I actually use pretty frequently is kind of I call it a life coach or a personal assistant. But one of the things that was really, when it was very sycophantic and it was in the prior iteration, I was like, you have to give me the opposite insight to make me think differently than what I say. Like, give me kind of some ideas on how to think about it, and then give me a complete 180 perspective. And so what it's done for me is like sometimes I'm like, oh man, it may be a work thing or just a regular life thing that I'm thinking about, and I chuck it in there. And so I love the idea of using it in these personal instances to kind of give me like, what's the diverse perspective on this?
Yeah.
Like, give me the way I normally would not think. And it does help, because then you're like, oh man, that's a great angle. Like, I don't agree with it, but now I'm not 100% on the platform I was. Like I shifted a tad. So I can see others people like trying to evoke those motions. Like I'm gonna say one other thing is that when there was a book I read or listened to, if you want to, they were talking about how AI, typically if you're pretty good at your profession, the first 1 to 4 things that it suggests you probably already thought of. It's the 5th thing that it gives you that you're like, that's that extra little bit of it. So that's where I think it pushes me a little bit.
It's just mindset and perspective, right? Like at work, we've been doing stuff a lot on mindsets, and even there's like some leadership stuff where you go like, hey, you're in one mindset, and so you think that the answer is, of course, that's the obvious answer to use, but it's because you're in a mindset, and because you have that mindset, when a problem comes up, there's like an emotional side of it, and then that affects what actions that you take. And so if you think about things from different mindsets, you can be like, oh, there's lots of different, ways that we could go about this problem that we have. Whereas if you only have one sort of set mindset of an expert or achiever or something like that, then you think like, oh, well, of course, this is the only way to go. And your mind sort of just goes in that direction. Where if you have a broad range of that, then you start thinking like, oh, well, there could be lots of different ways that we can handle this situation.
I love hearing about your work, Ryan. Yeah. And like we don't dive deep into it. That's a really good perspective. And I think that, with AI, you almost have to be intentional with that too.
Yeah.
Because if you're saying one thing, it's gonna be like, oh my god, Ryan,
So
you
so
were
smart.
so
Oh my
good."
god, such a great idea. Turning French fries into salad.
Man, you were like a genius.
love that.
You should open like some stores. Go invest some money in that, Ryan. But like, and this goes back to some of our prior conversations, is that it only kind of can be as good as what you can get it at this point.
Yep.
And so I think it's important, and this would be my like 2 cents, is that if you're using AI out there, make assistants. Like
Right.
go out and make things that, because like I rarely go to just the default version anymore. Like I use one of my assistants because like I pre-program it to be a little less like sycophantic, a little bit more diverse in the perspective, and I still don't trust it after that. So it's a good one.
It's true.
Wait, what does the chat say? I don't know how you come up with these ideas.
Thank you, ChatGPT. Oh my god,
my
I'm
God.
so
But
smart.
I fell into that hole early on too.
Yeah.
I always was like, man, that is a good idea. How? Of course.
There, it is taking
Nearly-
a lot of smart people.
It has
It's
nearly
not
got
just-
me.
It's not just those dummies.
All right, this one's so fun. This is a fun
Fun
one.
one.
Thank you, Ryan, for
Woo,
bringing
woo, woo, fun
AI.
one.
Go behind us for
Get
a
outta
bit
here.
until we get to the main topic tonight. All right, Ryan, lead us into this one. I'm gonna bring this up on the screen. I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, so like we're big Lego fans, of course. Who isn't, right? Like Lego, amazing. And the thing about Legos is like the reason that those knockoff Legos suck is because there's it fits together so perfect. It snaps in together. There's like a whole thing at Lego where they only use their molds for a certain amount of time because after that, then the pieces don't fit together as perfectly. And so what they are premiering, Lego, is a 3D printed, their first ever 3D printed like Lego set. And what this is it's a holiday train or something like that. But all of the pieces are 3D printed, and they're 3D printed in a very specific way. It's like an EOS 3D printer, which I had never heard of
With some
before
FDR
today.
technology.
With some FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt is coming in and lending some of his technology to this. No, so FDR technology and sort of EOS 3D printers it's a type of printer that sort of puts down a layer.
Yeah. Do you want me to talk? I've done a lot on.
Yes. Okay. Adam is our 3D printer expert. I'll let him.
No, that's good. No, first of all, I wanted to say that what you were describing earlier is like the amount of tolerance and ability for a Lego piece to stand up to multiple snaps and disconnects is like one of the things that makes Lego such an amazing company. They like engineered this, and it's like they have their molds that create these are very specific.
And not duplicated, right? There isn't a bunch of Lego knockoffs out there. I mean, there are some, nowadays, but for the most part, they stand alone.
So what we're seeing here, and what my understanding is this is a fully created Lego set that is 3D printed. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Every piece of this particular set 3D printed.
And because they can get those tolerances down to a micron level at this point with 3D printing, and so you get that nice snap in it and everything, which I mean, that seems super cool. Like I'm into the idea of 3D printing getting so precise that we can duplicate Legos.
So this is a 3D printing method that I have absolutely wanted to get into this. So I think it's a little different. There was a thing called the fuse printer, but what it essentially does is it has a material. I've seen it with nylon before. I think this may be a different kind of material, obviously. But it lays down a like sand thin or layer of filament or whatever you call it. You can kind of see it on the screen if you're watching. And what it does is it lays it down, and it has lasers that centers it together. It basically melts it together. And
so this thing that's going back and forth is not 3D printing it. It's
at all.
It's laying down the next layer of dust, basically plastic dust, that then the laser is then molding into shape.
And the cool thing about it is that you don't need support. So you can have very like intricate shapes because it's laying down an entire layer, centering or melting those parts together, putting another layer, and going over it again and again.
It's like such a different way of thinking about 3D printing. Like, so cool. I don't know anything about this, and I won't put you on the spot, but like I imagine those are expensive at this point, right?
So
you have to have like a whole like warehouse that is set up to be able to, do that kind of printing. Because I imagine like the dust would get everywhere and all of that.
I got to bring it up, man.
Okay.
So Formlabs, like I wanted one of these,
really?
like hardcore.
They have like consumer grade models.
So
of this
here's
stuff?
the thing: is it's I would say it's prosumer grade.
Prosumer.
And so this isn't necessarily the one that we just saw, but you get and so when we say prosumer, and this is I did a bunch of research on this. One of the things was you have the 3D printers that you've seen me work on, which you can go from about maybe 300 to about a couple grand to get one of those. The next jump, in probably the last decade, was if you wanted to get to something that you could actually manufacture and sell things, like you can go and sell 3D prints on the $300 printer. You could do that.
Right.
But if you wanted to make a full business, make it very durable and sell these things and customize them, the gap to going to some of these other ones was like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Exactly.
At that
it went
level.
from $3,000 to $300,000. It felt like.
So what the Fuse does, and they do a bunch of them, but they are called these SLS printers, and you can get it, and so it's around 30 to 40,000.
Okay.
And this is not actually the Fuse printer, so I need to go back and kind of show you what they have. So they have a few different types of them, but they have this one where it's called post processing. So let me go over to the Fuse printers themselves, and I wonder if they can kind of show it. So they have this, as you can see on this.
It's sort of like an enclosed space for it to be in, right?
This little thing holds that filament, that sandish kind of powder. They do nylon in these kind of ones.
Okay.
And then what it does is it lays it down and it sinters it together.
Yeah.
Oh, look, it says, watch the video. Yeah, let's watch it. Okay, there's
only one
setup.
3D printing platform.
All right, we're not going to listen to it.
But we can watch it.
We can watch it. So this one was so cool because these parts come off the 3D printer like ready to go into production.
Right. Nobody's sanding them afterwards.
Well, it's not even that. It's like the 3D printers that we use right now, my glasses, they're technically prototype. They're not like absolutely production ready. So what this thing does is a couple steps. Now you can see it's laying down this layer of nylon. It sinters those parts together. Now what they're taking, this is interesting, is you have to wash it off. You roll it in this bin. It gets and you recover a lot of that stuff, so then you can reprint with it.
Oh, it's like sucking down the sand at every moment.
The nylon.
So the powder. That's great.
And so you get this. So what they were saying, and one of the big examples was they had this bicycle pedal company.
They always do bicycle pedals for some reason.
Is that a thing?
That must be like a thing that is like you need it to be hard, but it's also just
durable.
one piece and durable. I feel like they always.
But
show
they were customizing it, and the context was if you bought this for $30,000 to $40,000 with all the pieces, you would pay for it within a year if you had a decent business to sell it off, and then you just would use it beyond that. And so all the parts that come off of one of these things are ready to go, production ready.
I'm convinced. Adam, purchase one of these for us.
I am so close to doing that. If we can make a business, we're doing it here.
Give to our Patreon so that Adam could buy a ridiculous powder 3D printer.
We're gonna do it. If we had that, maybe that's our business, Ryan. We'll start making Legos on it.
Yeah, we'll just do our own bootleg Legos. Forget Lego.
Double drop bed Legos.
Hauling bitches. We can do better than that. I'll do cooler things.
I don't know. I just felt like it's a really cool concept. The idea that you can get shapes that are super complex without any kind of like.
It's just I love seeing technology moves in 3D printing because I feel like that has a
ooh,
blocks.
I love it.
What?
Patented.
Dang,
like get that down there.
Get that patented.
Vodix. Yeah, Vodix is coming out like first time chat coming in with the names.
Double drop blocks. Love it.
Wait, DD Dagos? Dagos.
Dagos.
I love that. Dagos.
Triple Dagos.
Oh, triple Dagos. I love it. Oh man, Legos are so fun. You know, the only thing is, I still have my Legos from back in the day.
Totally.
Like a huge
giant
bin of
giant
it.
bin of them.
Oh.
Still use them. My parents have gotten into Lego. Actually, their next door neighbors are into like those adult ones, and so they got a couple ones, off the internet for cheap. And
You know what was really interesting is that literally today I was at a meeting for work, and they were talking about professional development, and they're like, true or false, you can buy Legos so that you can build like prototypes and things, and you can use professional development funds.
and you're like, false.
True. They're like, absolutely true. You can do it. And so everyone's like, hell's yeah, we're gonna go get Legos.
You're like 10 grand of professional development on this Death Star.
Adult Lego. Well,
adult Legos are like.
are you serious right now?
Yeah.
We got to jump into this.
Well, like
I gotta show
adult,
'em.
I feel like
I know.
I feel like adult Lego is like an entire half of their business at this point. They're like Van Gogh paintings and flowers and just like adult architecture of really famous buildings and things like that. And also any Lego that costs like over $200 is an adult Lego. I'm sorry. Those are not for children.
Ryan is going way down the artistic path here, but have you heard of like the Technics Lego, the engineering kind of connections, the ways that people are using Lego sets to pull things together? So you can create like contraptions and put motors and things in that. Like it is like
that's an erector set, isn't it? Like
it's
they're sort
Legos
of
erector.
Sure. You're like, where's that company? Dead.
Yeah, what are you talking about here? So you build like bots and things. Like it is a thing. Like okay, this one I don't know if I got to the right.
Oh, there's no pictures.
Yeah, what the heck?
What the heck? You gotta. Do we not load these pictures?
I feel like let's go to images here.
Okay.
So these ones are a little bit more
like cars and stuff.
So like Technic Legos are a big deal, and like it is a huge industry where people buy these and make contraptions and do all kinds of stuff. So Technic is the more adult version. Like in engineering schools, they use the hell out of this.
Nice.
And it's been something that I've seen like in our area that you had to like create a set. They have these motors you put in and ways that it can like go pick up this thing and make it like transport it over here. Use Legos because it's cheaper overall to be able to put these things in bricks together.
I haven't been following the chat, but I feel like I could just keep seeing boobs in the chat. Something about Lego boobs has been going on in the chat. Hey, we're at 5 after the hour.
Oh my God!
Do you want to get through maybe a couple more of these?
Yeah, let's nail through a couple last ones. Man, we said AI was over, so I'm gonna move this one up. We're not gonna talk about that one. We'll talk about it maybe next time because enough of that. Yeah. Let's talk about death of social media if you're good with that.
Perky Lego boobs.
Oh my God! We'll let the chat do its thing.
We're gonna. I'm not even gonna comment on that. We'll let chat.
Ryan is very excited about.
I just kept seeing. It's like when boobs come up in the chat, it grabs my attention. Okay, death of social media, Adam.
Only fan Legos. Who took us off that? All right, fair enough. Fair enough. Man, I could. I'm gonna go down this path too, but I'm gonna
focus back in. Bring it in.
So the death of social media, not as fun as Lego boobs, but the
still
idea,
important.
very important. We're at a point in time where we think that we're kind of seeing the demise of social media, and one of the big like factors is that there's a lot of bots and a lot of AI out there that when you get on social media, you're using algorithms are showing what they think that you want to stay engaged. The posts are made by freaking AI.
And all the comments are also AI.
Yes. Not in this awesome chat, though.
No, of course. Not present company excluded. But, I agree with this. I feel like social media things have just gone down more than they have been. I mean, I feel like my kids are sort of not as interested in social media than they would have been, like even 5 or 6 years ago. It feels like it's splintering off into, I mean, to search it, I brought up the same thing when Adam posted this. I was like, is this sort of the dead internet theory? Which it kind of is, but more like specifically even for social media platforms. Sure. And I feel like the younger generation is just, you're either fully invested in it or you've decided that it is like not for you. And I feel like a lot of parents have realized this and have sort of limited the amount of social media that kids can be exposed to. I feel like there was sort of a few years in there in the middle for like 4 or 5 years where those kids, like, we didn't necessarily know how bad it was for development and creative thinking and all of that. And so we just let everyone go hog wild in it. And now we're sort of reeling it back. And so I feel like there is going to be sort of a generation that is just like straight up addicted to it always. But I feel like it's going downwards just because of the type of content that you're seeing and sort of just what social media was kind of built on originally, which was connecting with people outside of your sort of group that you hadn't seen for a while and you want to be able to connect with. But with all these AI bots and posts and everything, it just feels like it's going downhill.
I mean, I'm feeling like it. Who's been on LinkedIn lately? Can I get a LinkedIn folk out there? Because who the hell is reading your feed in LinkedIn? Like, I'm like, oh my God. Like, even your post is like, hey, here's an AI response. You want to put that in there? No one's doing that. And you know, this is what concerns me, is that if social media is going downhill, like, is this a precursor to where we're going to see AI in the next 5 to 10 years or even shorter? Is that it's going to just go down this path of being so like capitalized? Because the idea, I think, of social media started, I mean, I would hope it started with maybe this more philanthropic, I want to connect people.
Yeah.
And then it was like
altruistic.
How do we do that? And then it's turned into like, how can we bleed every possible cent out of everybody that uses it?
What is the dopamine hits that keep you on our platform for the longest,
constant,
right? Yeah.
And so I think at this point, what we're seeing though is we're seeing more of the federated or the more private little areas, which to my point, like we use Discord a lot. Like the folks that are with us to this evening, like we hang out. We got some good video game insights in our Discord today.
Yeah.
Always. And got to give some shout outs to a few, Mike Azul or Disturbed, Laura. You were giving us that content in there and it's fun. I love it. It's like what inspires us to continue.
It's those smaller communities, right? You know that's not AI that is giving you that, right? Like, you know, the people, you've sort of seen them in chat and interact with them. So it just makes it...
And I converted to Fediverse.
What is that? I don't even know what that is.
Fediverse, it's federated like universe. And so it's essentially people, it like Reddit right now. If Reddit goes down, it's done, right?
Yeah.
It's like, and you know, maybe have the distributed servers, but it's a centralized service. So a Fediverse is being able to compile different little sub communities together into one big thing. So think about Reddit being distributed across a bunch of different communities that have a bunch of different posts, and then you pull them all together, and so if one goes down, you don't lose everything.
Oh, sure.
And so I use Lemmy. I like Lemmy's my number one. I'd say Slashdot. It's not really a Fediverse kind of thing, but then also Tildays. So those are my three.
All of those are. It's like Fediverse is, you're saying, is sort of like saying something is Linux, right? Or like it's a category of social media. Right?
It's a category. So Fediverse isn't necessarily a place, but it's a way of having a distributed version of social media. So it can't be controlled by one entity.
Yeah,
is the way. So I think, and we're seeing that, like there's. So Mastodon was a big one. If you heard of Blue Sky, that's the new one that's moved, you know, from the prior Twitter founder. So interesting ways that we're going. So I think we're at this point of, is social media dead? Because is it truly like that interactive thought?
Get out of here, social media. I'm glad you're dead.
All right. So if you really want to be fearful of what our future is going to look like. Oh yeah,
this is another fun one.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Robots. We gotta get a robot video every time, I feel like. And Unitree is like a big one in fun robot videos.
And also they're gonna be the cause of why robots come and murder us all. Let's just put it on there. If you're watching the stream, you gotta look at this. If you're driving, listen to the podcast right now, pull over to the side of the road.
No, don't pull over. Just watch as you're driving.
Oh my God.
Just hold it up right in
Let
front
your
of your
Tesla
face.
drive for you, you know, whatever. All right, so here we go. This is the Unitree.
I love it. Said mastered some quirky skills. What I basically saw was this is like it can get up fast now.
That is creepy as all heck.
Like it basically the reason that it's creepy is because it doesn't get up like a normal human gets up, right? If you're just listening to this on the podcast feed, like it gets up in a way where like its legs wrap around itself backwards, move in a specific way.
This guy's gonna get his ass whooped by this thing.
And it feels like it's almost missing frames. Like it's so fast how it can get up sometimes and be ready for that next like attack. I feel like it's just starting to get these robots. They're just starting to get like better control of movement, like work better in real life. And obviously that always looks scarier, right? I mean, it's kipping up after these knockdowns like faster than any human would be doing that.
And it's taunting and dancing.
It's like no, it's like it's doing
But here's the thing:
moves.
is like you think about the Terminator movies, and they totally got it wrong because they're like slow and robotic and shooting. This thing is like acrobatic as all hell.
Yeah, exactly. And like if you
doing
knock it down,
flips,
doing backflips,
hero drops. Oh my god! I did not watch this video. This is the first time.
Yeah, like it's very acrobatic at this point. I mean,
Oof.
that's and they even say if you see that last little like disclaimer, it's like all of this is shot in real time with just our models doing things. No special like extra stuff was added to it, which is interesting.
Tell me what you think. I gotta hear from our chat here. Like, tell me, is that not terrifying?
I think it'd be sweet. Like, how awesome is that? Like, your little if you want a robot that can help you with everyday things, it's got to be agile. It can't be.
Yeah, I get that. Until the time that they're like busting out the front door of your neighborhood and there's like 500 of them coming at it with like crazy acrobatic flips ready to murder you.
Right, where the controlling government that controls all of them, puts red hats on them and has them coming to your door and kicking down the door. Like,
what was the movie with Will Smith? I, Robot? Like that is literally that close to that kind of crap, like jumping around and knowing that. God.
Can robots create artwork and paint beautiful pictures? Yeah.
Can you, Ryan?
Love that line.
Hell yeah.
Great movie.
That is that creeps me out.
Amazing Asimov book as well, if you haven't read it. Really
I mean, we're just going down the path, and it's like there's going to be some robot murders that are going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm calling it now and double drop down. It's
2026, first robot murder.
And I'm pretty sure it's going to be that guy because I've seen him a million times, like beating those robots,
just teasing robots.
Like I imagine what happens is he kicks it down, and one time it's like robot body that like computes it, like gets tweaked a little bit, and it's like, oh, what? And like just stabs him.
Or just it gets so smart that he goes to kick it and it just grabs his foot and breaks his ankle,
and then like Hulk smashes him into the ground.
And then cut video, right? That's
they'll still put it on YouTube.
Get hella views.
Oh yeah.
All right, last story. This was something that I thought was really interesting. Sort of pairs with what we had talked about last week, which was Lionsgate, which is a fairly decent sized movie studio, paired up with Runway, which if you haven't heard of Runway ML, I think is a video AI distribution platform, and so they build videos with AI, and so they paired together, and Runway was like, hey, let us train a very specific model based on all of your movies that you have the IP for. And what they wanted to do is like create what sort of the plan was, if you had seen like the press release of this, is that they were going to create anime versions of certain parts of their movies, of like certain movies of theirs, which they have like John Wick movies and things like that. And they were like, we're going to do an anime version of that, and we're just going to put it out. It's going to take like an hour to build this thing as long as we train it in the right way. what they found out is not that easy, right? It's been like a year almost since this partnership, and they kind of went like, hey, not that easy. One, you need a massive data set for this kind of thing for even it to work even slightly. Like we've seen like the AI one from ChatGPT, and we've seen all of those, and like they are okay, and they are trained on like millions of YouTube videos and all kinds of stuff. And so what they said is like Lionsgate doesn't have as big of a data set that they would need. They would need they said they would need not even Disney would have enough movies, which Disney owns a hell of movies. They would have not even enough movies if Disney did it to be able to just text to video some of these videos coming out. So it was basically almost a failure. They sort of came out and said, hey, this isn't gonna work. So
it's interesting to think about that.
Talk about this for a second.
I was thinking as you had that discussion. Ryan loves his LaCroix, by the way, so he has to take a couple breaks every day. But if you think about all of the pre-work that goes into a video or creating an animation or doing something like that, I'm just curious if that could be used for some of the training. Like every single element that you create and shoot that you never use in the actual video itself, if that would even be able to feed a model like this. I think the idea of like taking a shortcut in this case shows that you really can't maybe do this because, or at least we don't have enough data or training and grounding to be able to make a video. Plus, who's going to watch the damn thing? Like, I don't know if I would want to go out and watch a movie that's been generated by AI. Pieces and parts of it, I have no problem with that. It makes a little bit more sense. But in this particular case, Runway trying to find an entire catalog, is it just going to recycle movies that you've already seen before? Those are some of the things that I was thinking at. Ryan, I was thinking, you said it didn't have enough of the data in there, but if it trained off of like every possible element, like let's say you shot hundreds of hours of this video and you push that into there and it was like, oh, okay, we got enough now. Would that be enough for it?
Right. Like, I mean, stock imagery, right? There's tons of stock video that it could be trained on.
And they're like don't take the times that we hit cut or like, scene or whatever that might look like.
Right. All the B footage of everything, all the extra stuff. I mean, I think this is where this is going, but what it shows is like, we are not there yet. Right. Like, you can't just prompt a movie into existence at this point. There's just not, I mean, there's so much language text to train models on for language that like we can get pretty close, but you just can't do that with videos yet. We've seen that even with places like Runway training it on, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of videos, millions of videos. It's not there, but
I love the idea that it's failing, to be honest with you, because I don't want to watch sloppy, crappy videos or movies that come out from companies.
I mean,
honestly.
at some point we're gonna get the sloppy, crappy movies, right? That's just gonna be it. Maybe they'll be for kids or something like that, and then it'll get more training, and it'll create its own videos that can then train it, and then we will get those movies. But I mean, even we talked about this for the last main topic, right? That like, we're not there yet. It's probably coming if we see this like going in the same sort of direction. And in that ways you get, single person studios, perhaps like making, things that look like production value videos.
So I think, and this is a good segue into our next topic. Yeah. I think that in a video space, the only thing that I might be excited about is getting a kind of a concept or a theme and saying, here's your playground that you can work within, and now you can use our characters and some of these, like this training and grounding, to develop your own path. So like, imagine, and you said John Wick earlier, so here's the John Wick AI movie creator subscription
sandbox
that you get, and you can be like, sweet, I want John Wick to be in space fighting aliens, and like, boom, it's gonna pop it out and you're gonna get your sweet space John Wick movie.
Well, I was watching our video from last time when we got to that by the end of last episode, where we were like, it's just gonna be constantly changing the script and what I see on the thing based on the dopamine hits that I'm getting, right? It's like, Ryan didn't like that. His eyes unfocused for half a second. So make it more violent at this point.
Put more Lego boobs in there.
Now we're talking.
Woo! Look at those perky things. All right, we're transitioning. It is 22 past the hour right now, and so if you're joining us for the podcast, thank you for being here tonight.
Yeah.
If you're listening on any kind of reviews, we are going to be doing a deep dive on the future of art in the AI world.
Yeah.
This one has actually been simmering in my mind for quite a bit of time. I would consider myself a creative.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would. I guess I'm an artist too, because I enjoy to do art.
Yeah.
And I've thought about this for a number of years, and I've actually thought about it before AI. There was a lot of concepts that came to mind of like things have happened over time that changed the art world pretty dramatically. Paradigm shifts that we go through, and I feel like we're at a really big inflection point right now, where my initial concept and where we're going to dive into tonight is like, where is the line that you cross that art becomes almost, I would hate to say, irrelevant anymore?
Right.
Like
a
commodity, something that anybody can just do. Because hot take here.
Right off the bat.
I'm driving back from the Chili Festival this weekend, right?
Hey, fun.
And I look up at a big billboard sign that's out there. And I was like, what the F? Clearly, they just prompted that from AI and printed it and put it out there. The E was like messed up, complete like AI prompt. I was like, those people
AI slop on
just
a billboard.
Jumped over any kind of designer or anybody that has any. And I got to be honest, the sign on a glance, looked pretty good.
Yeah, totally.
But the typography was off, and it made me start to think of like, oh my god, like I was even like subtly tricked. I was like, that's a pretty decent sign for this like crazy grocery store that's here that they're doing. and so that's what got me thinking about this. This is what I want to talk about tonight. Is I want to talk about the past and some of the big things that have happened in art.
Right.
Typically we go a couple years. We're going to go a couple centuries this time.
Which is fun.
And so what we're hoping for is, if you're out there and you're hanging out with us and you have any insights about this, throw it in the chat as we go along, because
we love to hear hot takes on our topics here.
Absolutely. And so where I wanted to start tonight is a little bit into the past. And Ryan and I, and before we get into this, I got to show you the books.
Oh,
right?
Okay. Yeah.
So I didn't necessarily use these books, but I've learned from these books. So my undergrad was in mass communications with a minor in art. I didn't know if you know that, Ryan, but I have a minor in art.
Yeah.
And so this is one of the first books that we have out here. Art History, Volume 1. Look at this tome here that was probably taken by Claude and the spine ripped off and scanned into their AI interface. But as you go through it, it starts pretty early in time about some of the things that are going on. And I have a second book here that was on my second semester that talks a little bit about art history, and you start to see some additional things. And it was interesting. I was in here and I found a study guide, Ryan.
Oh, nice.
From college.
Wow.
on art here.
Fun.
And I had to memorize years.
Yikes.
That things were in there. Like Pablo Picasso did his Les Demoiselles Avignon. Probably didn't. Clearly
no,
did
you think maybe
in 1907.
You that?
Yeah, maybe I didn't. I just kind of mumbled like terribly there. But I would study these things just to remember dates and years and times. Look how far we've come.
I know.
Now, not only am I doing that, I could probably put that prompt in and say, create an art that looks like this.
It's true. And I mean, like I remember Kathy and I went through SCAD, and they always said you have enough art history credits to have an art history minor. Like everyone did who went through the Savannah College of Art and Design at one point. And so I have an art history minor. Could I tell you anything, specific about art history? No, but like I have sort of a general sense. So, we could talk about that a little bit. I do think that this is interesting, just the topic in general, because like you said, art has gone through these types of big disruptions and transformations multiple times in history. And it's interesting to think about like how much does that influence the transformation that we're going through right now? Is it something that is comparable or comparable to those transformations? I don't know. But it does feel like maybe, I don't know, slightly different maybe this time, but I'm sure they thought that at every generation.
Well, and that's why I wanted the deep dive in this.
Yeah.
And this is where I would love to hear some perspectives for anybody out there listening tonight, or if you're listening on the podcast to join us on our Discord and give your 2 cents.
Yeah.
One of the things that I kind of resonated with is if you go back to some of the earlier kind of perspectives on art, and we'll go back to the cave paintings.
Nice.
Is that it felt, and I can't, I'm not a caveman, so, but I would imagine wanting to leave your mark or be able to teach a future generation things, and feeling like, what do I have that can have some sort of sustained presence to like pass on knowledge? And so is cave paintings art? I don't know. I mean, it is in a sense. Like, you have to have probably some abilities to use some expertise to carve things into a wall. Yeah. But the idea that it became a part of your identity, part of who you were, that here was a scene of things that we experienced and we navigated together. That was some of those earlier ways to be able to extend yourself. And like, yeah, you're a caveman that died, and now hundreds of thousands of years, well, maybe not hundreds of thousands, but thousands of years later, we find these cave paintings out there. Yeah. And so I think in the past that was one of the parts. Like, how do you sustain something a little bit longer than your own life, and like, how do you put your creativity into it? So you start there. That's maybe the starting point that I'd like to start from today.
Yeah, like the heart of it, right? Like the rituals behind it. I mean, all of those things. I feel like that is where art started, and it feels deeply human to us.
Absolutely, because like the idea behind it wasn't that, oh, I need to go make money off this.
Right.
Like, I need to do this to survive. I need to pass this information on so maybe somebody else can learn from this and move us forward, and you can your next harvest or your next like hunt is going to go so well that because I was able to pass this information on.
Yeah, I mean, there could have been clout behind it, right? I think they talked about like, a lot of times it was sort of like the shaman there was like one specific person that was allowed to be creating these types of things. They talk about how like they would then, teach other people about it and everything. I mean, this is later on when we could actually, judge some of this stuff, but you're right that art goes back so far in our collective sort of humanity that it feels like that's why it has survived a lot of these transformations that we're going to talk about.
And this is where I start to get a little interested in this, because I feel like as we go on with art, it's almost like, hey, curveball, your passion and the reason you do this is getting a little tweaked, because there's almost like a democratized, easier way to navigate it. And it's not because it's democratized and other people can use it that I'm concerned. It's because I think there's almost like a dichotomy there. There's some that want to do it because they have the passion and the ability to like move it on, and others are just like, sweet, I can do it really easy and quick, and now I don't have to wait.
It's like an ends to
else.
a means, right?
Correct.
At that point, yeah.
So as we moved along with some of this, one of the things, and we're going to do some jumps here because there's no way we're going to start from caveman all the way today in this, but that we started to talk about as you get into some of the painting side of the house, like in the Renaissance times, where, I thought about this early on, is that as humans, we want to be capturing something in a way like that makes us feel a little bit more immortal, if you will. Or how do you perpetuate the experiences you had so you can share it? Like, you don't want to, I don't know about you, but you know that your mortality is there. You're going to die someday. You want to leave a mark on this world. And so art, to me, in a certain case, especially in times where like they didn't have photographs maybe in the Renaissance, so the only way you could capture who you were is to have someone paint you.
Right, that was it.
And
portraits,
and so those portraits, and you sitting there, and you're like, amazing. You have a lot of money, or you're able to do that, and now you get these portraits there. And so We went from the cave paintings, which were carved in stone, very rudimentary, maybe not like there's a stick figure of a guy throwing a spear. Right. I don't know who that guy looks like, to a point of like, oh, well, there's a mother and a father with some children there, and like you have some identity that you've had in that, and maybe like some presence that you've been able to bring, and now you've built yourself into some immortality there.
And slightly more democratized in the sense that, the paintings or paint was a little bit more prevalent. You could put it on a canvas at that point, but still very much for the aristocrats of the time, right? Like no middle class or peasants were like getting their oil paintings painted. So still, not very accessible to the average person.
And I think that was one of the points that I got to too, is as I was like researching this, is that those initial things are like, oh, I can paint you sitting there, and I'm really skilled at this. So it was reserved for almost a smaller subset of people that could have that creativity. Like it wasn't democratized. Like if you wanted to be a painter, you had to study for it. You had to be very skilled at it. You had to continue through that. So everyone, if like you were just like a person that had no skills, like you're just a little peasant, you're not part of this. I think the first like point and paradigm shift that I thought was that they started to do new things with paintings, and perspective was one of them.
Right. Yeah, like the sort of 3D or perspective lines, right? Which sort of puts anyone can. It's like if you want to draw a building and have it look like it goes off into the background, here's the sort of steps that you can take to do that. And so then it's a little bit easier to like teach people and do things. Vodex is getting ahead of us talking about photography. Totally. Like I feel like photography has been a disruptor and is now getting disrupted, same as a lot of these things.
That's an amazing way. And so to quickly get us through the Renaissance and those pieces is that I think that was one of the first inflection points we wanted to talk about. There was probably some more before that, but the idea that, you had painting, and one of the things that was interesting is that paint was hard to come by at a certain point. Like you had to get the right pigments from the right things across there. You had to like get it shipped in from different areas so that you can get that blue deep enough, or that red in the right kind of capacity. And then as people started to use perspective and different ways that they created their art, people were like, what? That's trickery. That's bullshit. Like you're not using your skill to develop this. And as others started to like adapt to it, it started to get more people involved. Where I thought it started getting interesting, and we'll go to Vodek's kind of comment, is that think about painting for a lot of years, and that was the way you captured things. And now this new technology came out where you click a button and you don't have to paint anything, and you capture an image.
Right. Photography must have felt like the AI back in the day, right? Or it just like feels like magic and a miracle, and oh my God, I can't even believe it. Feels like the height of technology at the moment. And to be honest, that was not that long ago.
1800s, right?
Like I mean, 1800s is a while ago, but it wasn't. There was painting for a hell of a lot longer before that. Between now and when photography started.
But I think like I tried to put myself in the shoes, and you went and talked about mindset earlier, and I kind of think about being somebody that when you're very young, you're like, oh my goodness, like painting is amazing. I remember when that painter was there and I was in their studio, and then you spend like 30 to 40 years, or I don't know how long they lived back then, but the idea that you spent some time like learning this craft, and you were like by the masters, and then like you start hearing about photography. Like the thing that you just spent a good portion of your life can now be done in. And of course, it's not a click. Like you had the technology was
photography back in the day was a whole messy, ridiculous process where you had to stay perfectly still for a really long time, and they had those gunpowder flashes, and it was also, again, it was a very specialized thing that only rich people could do, like it's why those death photographs became big, because you couldn't afford to get a photograph of yourself throughout your life. And so the only time you died, and then it was like, crap, we're never going to remember grandma ever again because we don't have a photograph. So take a picture of her, standing up in her coffin or whatever.
And so I think that at that point that was probably similar to what we're trying to say with AI. Like it felt like, oh my God, my craft has been changed. And so painting is dead. Who is going to want to look at a damn painting when you have this amazing way that you can capture people? And so the transition started to go to say, okay, well, clearly we can't do just realistic paintings. And so it was impressionism or modernism in some of those paintings. Of course, we have like 2 crazy art history books here, and there was like incremental steps through a lot of this.
Sure.
But if we take these jumps, the idea that like when you get the camera out there and those images start to come out and you start to say, okay, let's pivot. We got to do something different.
Right.
Because
if cameras are going to capture things photorealistically, right, what we would call that right now, then paintings don't need to do that. And so what do paintings need to do then? Well, they need to capture things that aren't photorealistic, that are still interesting and cool and make you want to look at it and have emotion. And so that's when, it goes over into, all those things that you just said, impressionism and all of that.
Where I think in to move us closer to like some of the present day stuff, I want to skip into some of these next steps. Is that I think where it started to get to the next steps was where and we talked about it a minute ago, but like the pigments or the inks or the ways that you started to paint become more commercialized in a way that anybody can have access to it. So yeah, you're not the Leonardo da Vinci of painting or whatever, at that specific time. Is that, hey, you can go get these paints and you could be an amateur and pretty terrible at painting, but you can have access to those and now you can paint.
Right. You didn't need to crush up a bunch of weird beetles from, sub-Saharan Africa to get like deep blues. They figured it out and they put deep blue into little paint little paint tubes, and they sold it to people. And now more people can enjoy that. And it wasn't just, just the aristocratic, painters of kings and queens that had access to those materials, which is great.
And that's the democratization of art. And then I feel like this is like one of the first lines that I was trying to draw to AI, is that we've democratized AI in a sense at this point. More people can now create things that are in their brain with some words. And this was a moment where, hey, everyone, here's some paints and pigments that you can use. Now you can go and paint yourself. And then I feel like it started to open the doors where everyone that was really skilled at it's like, hey, like I'm going to lose my job because like this guy can kind of paint something, and that other family that can't afford the other painter is like, oh, cool. Like that's good enough. Like that kind of looks like grandma, or that's going to capture what we want,
right?
And we don't have to pay like a year's worth of whatever earnings to get to that point of it.
Yeah, and we'll talk about how that maybe is sort of different with this version of the transformation. Different. But like, yes, back then, yes, people I'm sure were. I think you'll find this like as we go through this, a lot of it's disrupting the norm or the way that it was is a new version of it. And so the people who are invested in the way that it's always been are getting upset, right? Because they go, hey, I spent a bunch of my time perfecting this art, and now you're saying that anyone can sort of have access to it, and that makes what I do less special. And so they sort of, oftentimes fight against it.
And I think one of the big pieces to me that stuck out in our past discussion was when I thought about, you had this like amazing painting that you're able to push forward and like give to somebody, and you're like, this is it. Here's the painting.
Right.
Now you have the printing press come out.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, sweet. Here's the painting. Let me just like shoot off a bunch of these other versions, and maybe not a full painting, but the idea that you can like replicate something.
Yeah.
And those replications aren't like truly on that piece of paper that the artist touched, but some other like craftsman was able to print that on there and spit it out.
Yep.
And it almost starts to like be a little bit removed from that original connection that the artist had at that point, like the vision that they had.
Right.
So even at the printing press, I would imagine at that point I didn't quite get that like press just right, so it's a little lighter, or this little section is gone, and so it starts to bastardize it, or starts to make it a little less than it was.
That's true.
And as it gets sent out, then that artist is like, man, that's not what my intention is. That was not the feels that I was trying to evoke with that as you go forward. So,
but then like more people could see it, right? Like it's a trade-off at that point. Like when you only did a painting, only that aristocratic person hung it up in their house and half a dozen people saw it, right? Or when they had parties. But then, like, if you're printing it in books or you're printing it on posters, like, yes, it maybe bastardizes your vision of it at that point, or you had to make compromises, but like the scale was bigger and more people could do it then again. And so it just sort of blossomed out further and further. So, I mean, I don't think anyone would argue that making paints more accessible to people was worse at the time. Right. Or like looking backwards, you're like, I'm glad we did that. Or like the printing press. I don't think anyone now would be like, no. I don't think the printing press was a good idea because more people could read books, because like there was going to be some monks who did, illustrated manuscripts and spent their entire lives on creating, Irish Bibles or whatever, that like Celtic Bibles, that like would lose their job, at that, like in retrospect, I feel like we have a much like, we don't care as much about what is happening. We see the effects afterwards. Which we'll probably talk about when we get to the current day and future states.
and I love that perspective, because I think it really shows this pendulum swing to maybe where we're at today. Because who would be PO'd about that? Really, the artists very specifically themselves that are like getting displaced and not able to do their craft, or not as like in demand as they were.
Yeah.
So if you start to get ourselves into those that modern that 20th century, I always thought this one was funny, is that film was mocked by theater, and we kind of went and talked about this last week. But the idea that they're like, tut, that is like, you peasants, like that is never gonna take off. Who's gonna want to watch film? Like, people want to see actors doing their thing. And
they want to see them in real life. They want to see like the tears in their eyes. Like, they don't want a photocopy of acting. Like, and it's just because that's all they knew at that point.
And it was more accessible when you can put it out on film.
Right. You didn't have to live next to Broadway.
Right? And you didn't have to like maybe make the trip or go in there. I mean, you had to go to theaters or things like that, but it maybe made it a little easier to like and accessible. And so they talked about some early things, and we're going to take some big skips here because I think I want to get into some of our insights on the present day. But as if you jump up, then we'll go in our typical format of like maybe the last couple decades here.
Yeah.
One of the big ones for me, and this one hits home because I was alive during this time, was when early like digital art started to come out.
Sure.
I remember there was a series that was called The Mind's Eye. They did some like 3D like animations that was super rudimentary. Photoshop coming out in the 90s, and like things started to be like, oh my God, that's like kind of cool. No, it doesn't like hold up to some of the other stuff that I've been seeing, but it started to get onto the scene, and people are like, huh, like that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, rudimentary at that point. Certainly didn't look as good as any of that. Almost sort of test cases. Was used for very specific sort of use cases of. I mean, I think the big one for Photoshop was not even necessarily like image. manipulation, but it was like adding text to images,
Oh, yeah.
right? Like
Layout.
in a way that was computerized and you didn't have to cut things out and then put it on layers and photograph that to be able to come up with layouts for things. So it was kind of like trying to make any of that easier on graphic designers and photographers. But still, like, I remember I thought this was really interesting, and the research that you came up with was absolutely true, that like museums and things like that were like, no, you can't put your digital art in here. Like, that is not, like, one, not good enough, not accepted by the community as being sort of a acceptable art piece. And it was years before anyone of like those kind of high-end art places would even accept those types of things
and like even see it or consider it as art. I mean, in the chat we got Disturbed having a conversation around how he was really perturbed about being able to do a drawing that he entered into a contest that then got kind of overshadowed by probably some very, low effort digital art that gets pushed out there. And I mean, that evokes some of the feelings that we're probably thinking of, like these artists that spend a lot of time on the craft. And, sometimes I always thought about it like this, is that we engage with the art as a creative and to the point of even like, oh, this little tiny section right here needs this little curve because it's going to like build this out. Whereas somebody's like, huh, sweet, put the emboss filter on this. Ha, send it in. And now, oh, that looks so good. And then it gets like, because it's the first time that Photoshop filters are getting used, it gets voted up and becomes.
No, I mean, I remember a time when like having a sepia tone on top of an image, like, was super cool. You're like, people hadn't seen that before. Oh, it looked old timey. Yep. Like I remember going and getting, like old, the old West photos, and then they would put the sepia tone over the top, and that was neat. But it's only neat when it's hard to do, right? And so as soon as Photoshop came out and anyone could put a sepia tone on any image, then seeing a sepia tone on something, you're like, whatever.
Seen it a million times.
Yeah, I've seen it a million times at this point. What's next?
So if I took that look on the past, one of the things that I like to say is that art had some changes. They had some big like swings, but each time it happened, they're like, all right, let's switch it up. Let's try something new, and it didn't die.
And hopefully was more innovative, right? If all we had ever done was stuck with oil paintings of aristocrats, like, I don't think that's a good thing for art. We needed it to broaden out. We needed to people think outside of the box, and photography probably did that and made people think like, great, well, what else can we do? And interesting and cool art came from that.
So, a takeaway is that innovation and being able to like pivot and find that niche space that says, okay, this is protected again. We don't got something that's going to take this on is helped artists like adapt. And so I think like building that idea that the past always had a moment where like, okay, photos are in here. Cool. We're going to do painting different because now it's going to look a lot different. I'm curious from the chat if you're listening in regard, like, what are those disruptors? Like, what was the most disruptive that aligns with what we're talking about with AI out there? Is it photography?
Yeah.
Is it the printing press out there? Is it cameras coming in that make it a lot easier to do things? I don't know. I'm curious your thoughts.
Cameras in your pocket, that's
oh my God. Remember the little mini elf cameras that we used to use? That was fun. So if we kind of, we come forward to today, and this is a big jump. We just barely skittered across the top of a lot of art. One thing I wanted to call out is I remember during the O.J. Simpson trial.
Okay.
And it's just a random moment in my head. But they were talking about how it's like, if the glove fits, then he's the killer. You
must have quit.
Yeah. If it doesn't fit, he must have quit. But I remember sitting at like my grandmother's house at the time and like watching it because it was a big thing.
Yep.
But I remember this whole segment of saying like, Photoshop is out and Photoshop can change images. So like, that glove, that is like so photoshopped, and those shoes that he's wearing, I don't know, somebody could have like changed that a little bit. And so it got in my mind at that moment. Like I remember at that moment being like, holy crap, because I had access to like Corel Draw and like Photoshop and some of the things at that time. And I was like, you're absolutely right. Like the future has changed. Like, how can I trust like anything
Yeah.
moving forward?
Right.
And so Photoshop for me at a time was like such a disruptor for just like creating art and being able to do things and democratizing it. I just wanted to call that moment out because I thought that was a moment for me that made me think like, yeah, there's some things that are changing out here, and what what the future is going to look like is crazy.
O.J. Simpson, deep fakes, glove deep fakes from the 90s. All right, so I feel like we should do a quick like what the present is.
Yeah, let's hit it.
Because I feel like we've we set it up nicely with like what the past was, but I do feel that like we are in a moment where we're really getting some of this change, like is really happening quickly. And one of the big things that I would say, like there are differences from this moment that we've seen from other technology moments, I mean, just the speed that it is happening. Like I would say, in previous times, camera didn't come on in 3 years and 700 million people were using it weekly, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, the camera like slowly came and it was really hard to use and really only for, it was really expensive to use. And then slowly over decades, it kind of, displaced a lot of maybe those, portrait oil painters. But it took a long time. Whereas now I feel like we're more in a moment where, obviously Photoshop coming in and doing that took less time than that happening. And then, computers editing things was even faster. And then now AI, in 2 or 3 years has completely disrupted those things. And so I feel like that is one of the big differences from sort of the early versions of this happening. And what's happening right now is just the speed that this is happening.
100%. The speed is what I was about to jump into, and then also beyond just the speed, it's almost the reuse of other artists. And so when I thought about Photoshop, one of the things I kind of felt like I was cheating a lot of the times. Like you'd go online and you'd find like, oh, here's a picture of already a car or a drawing of this thing or whatever. You cut them out and you compile them into a new image. It's not 100% the stuff that you created, but you use some other artist's stuff to compile a new image, and then you're like, well, it is kind of like I spent some time on it, and it kind of looks good, and I compiled it in such a way that then you pass it off as your own. And I think that kind of probably PO'd people at a certain point because they were like, hey, I spent a lot of time to draw that sweet car that you just like crudely photoshopped a little skeleton in to make it look like it's driving on a Halloween road or whatever.
No, that's so true. I feel like that's the exact same thing now, right? With AI and people saying that it's using it it's just a more sophisticated version of that. And I feel like another thing that it does differently from now is just like the scale that you can do. If you were democratizing things with photography, or you were democratizing things with putting paints in little tubes and allowing people to do that, like you still had to go and buy those things. You still had to go and line up the shot, right? For the photography. You still had to, pick the area that you were in. You still had to mess with all the lenses. You still had to, there was still a lot that went into it that made famous photographers versus not famous photographers, right? Like good photographers and bad photographers. And there was still like a craft that went into that. Maybe it was it just less time intensive to make multiple versions of the thing that you wanted to make than an oil painting. But still, like there is a craft that went into it and a scale that you couldn't get from the earlier versions. And I feel like we're in the exact same spot here where you're sort of say, okay, it's hard to say where does the tool end and the artist begin at this point, Whereas with photography, Ansel Adams, still a great photographer, still like you could pinpoint his style, you could pinpoint him just the same as you could do with Leonardo, da Vinci. And I almost said DiCaprio. Yikes.
Glad you didn't, but
Yeah,
you
I'm
just
glad I
doxed
didn't.
yourself.
I had to say it. I had to say it because it was fun. But like, you could still see what the artist was there. Whereas I feel like when the amount that you're sort of shrinking that footprint that the artist has, with all you have to do is type out a few things, and now you get something that is made from the entire collective art of the entire person in the entire world. It's harder to pinpoint and say yes, that is an artist doing that. Putting in a prompt, I don't know if you would say that person is an artist doing that
right.
At that point, like it takes some effort. Like you're not just thinking of something and it coming to life. Like you're having to use the tool, but it's so much less than it used to be. But photography is less than oil painting, right? Like it sort of feels like that's where we're going, is the scale is increasing. The amount of time that it takes between these disruptions is decreasing, and the amount of effort that it takes to create something that is interesting, is decreasing. So sort of what is the art at that point?
And I love that you said that, because this is a conversation you and I have had multiple times. It's like, what is art?
Right.
What is it that makes it just some sort of commodity versus this thing that you feel some true emotions and connections with? And it's really hard to pinpoint that, because you could see like some democratized piece of like art that just like spit out by AI might evoke emotion in someone.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I always say, like, people always say like, well, my kid could have done that abstract art. Right. Like that is always sort of the argument, like abstract art. Hey, anyone could have done that.
We're looking at you, Jackson Pollock.
Hey, but it's almost like if a kid could make something in abstract art that like moves you and you want to hang on your wall, it shouldn't matter if a kid made it or a master painter made it, right? Like none of those things matter if it means something to you and it's something that you want to hang on your wall. Now, if I'm doing it as an art collector that wants to, say, invest in a piece of art, then it does matter at that point, because the kid has no clout. Nobody knows who the kid is. Sure, it's interesting to me, but like no one cares who that kid is. And so that piece of art for me as a collector who's doing it as investment is not worthwhile. But like, so the same sort of thing happens here with AI, where you go, all of this is just ephemeral. Like it doesn't, the stuff that you prompt and, poop out like an image of a Pikachu mech suit, like because no effort went into it, it's okay that you're just like, that's kind of neat, but whatever. Like no one cares about that. It's a commodity at that point. Same as a 3-year-old's abstract painting.
And I think what you're hitting on too is that there's something about, there's an artist that touched this thing. Like he's like the connection to that piece of art is very palpable. Like you could see the fingerprint, or you could see the stroke that gets done. And then the further away you get from that, the further away that maybe it doesn't feel as personal or human, if you will.
I feel like us as humans, we love that. Like I always heard a thing from the podcast Radio Lab. They were talking about real life, and you either have that sense or you don't really. And they were saying that like one of the guys was saying, Neil Armstrong sent him a letter that was talking about his show that he did and how personally it touched him. And he was like, but he sent me it as an email. And he goes, if Neil Armstrong would have written a letter or signed it, I would have framed that thing. It would have been up on the wall, right? Because Neil Armstrong held that in his hand and touched it with his pen and signed his name. Whereas an email, like, it's my paper, it's my ink, and yes, it's his words, but it doesn't feel like I should be framing that and putting that on the wall because he never really touched it or had anything to do with it. And I feel like that's the same thing here, is you just get further and further away from the humanity of it and the heart of art.
And I think you've made an amazing case at this point of that. I think this is where authenticity and the ability to say, like, this was absolutely made by this particular person.
Yeah.
Like, even with photography, and one of the newer things that we start to see is that they're making cameras to validate that this was authentic. So yes, that image was taken by this person standing in this location, this Ansel Adams like amazing like aspen tree that he took a picture of. We can authenticate that was really him. This is not an AI creation.
You know, and I mean, they used to do that with photography with negatives, right? So you would be like, I'm going to purchase the negatives so no other person can have that. And I know what they did with it. But like, even Ansel Adams, like, that dude was screwed up by photography chemicals, could barely hold a camera by the end of his life, right? And you know who was taking those late stage Ansel Adams pictures? Not freaking Ansel Adams. It was all of his assistants and everything. But you know what sold? Right in Ansel Adams on the bottom of that and selling that as the portrait. So, I mean, even then you couldn't tell who exactly was doing it. But I love this idea of what we are doing now going forward, which is trying to say like, we need to create a chain of who made this and where it started. And then maybe even talk about like, you know, can that person get compensated for that original idea, that original drawing, that original piece of art, if it's being reused in something? I mean, it's the same thing that we talked about with like, copyrighted, you know, music for samples for rap, right? Or for samples for other things. There was this whole thing where everyone was just, it was the Wild West and everyone was just sampling everyone's stuff. And then they went, wait, none of those people are getting paid. You're just ripping them off for that. And now if you want to sample a piece of music and use it in your piece of music, you got to go through a whole copyright system. I mean, there was a whole, you know, giant case about this in the 90s. And I feel like we're going towards that direction with all of art.
And I think like maybe even right now we've done a bigger leap past that, and we're trying to look back at it.
Right.
Because think about all the training and amount. Like, how do you even trace what was already being created? And now a bunch of people spat out a bunch of additional stuff that now it's like it's the Pandora's box has been opened, and all of the art and the collection of humanity up to this point has been bastardized by training AI.
It was, so then let me ask you a question. Do you think that the toothpaste is out of the tube and we can't put it back in? Like, is basically all art that was created pre, you know, this kind of thought of authenticating and doing stuff, if it's already trained in AI, it's just kind of, it's out there and it's built into all of these systems and whatever. And now new art coming out will have to be more thoughtful about it, I guess.
Which is a great like transition to like some future thoughts that I wanted to get. But I think my hot take on that is that, you know, the art that it was trained on, if it still exists out there, you know, there's a painting in a museum. Like, I mean, the Mona Lisa isn't a great painting, to be honest. I mean, it was just like one of the things. But like, you know, some of the art that's out there that's truly authentic, like it still holds its value. It still holds this like peace and humanity. I almost think that doing something real is it's gonna become more scarce, and it is gonna hold some value and hold connections. Like, people are gonna be like, whatever, I see a gazillion little things. I want to go to that special museum where I know somebody touched that paper or somebody painted on that canvas. And so it's going to just be hard to find the people that give a shit about it.
Yeah, right. I mean, to me, it feels like craftsmanship for the like furniture and things like that. Like, I bring it back to furniture sometimes. Sure. It's just, you know, there used to be people who would make you a couch and they would make it by hand, and people still buy couches like that. Sometimes they spend more money on it. It means more to them. But for the most part, the couch that you buy that is mass manufactured and is pumped out and you buy it at, you know, American Furniture Warehouse or whatever is fine, you know, for a majority of people. And I feel like that's the way that art is going to be. You're going to get a lot more art, and more art is going to be just commoditized, and people will be fine with that and hanging that up on their wall or doing that as part of their like whole life. And maybe that means there's more art out there and things are more beautiful and things are crazier and like more intense than they are just sort of the drab stuff because an artist has to sit there and do them each time. But to me, my biggest hot take on sort of the future of this kind of stuff is I feel like we're going to get to a point where new and innovative ideas are the only things that are going to be training these models, right? If they're not just going to keep being Xeroxes of Xeroxes and having, copies of copies out there, they're going to need new and innovative ideas from humans, and those are going to be super important. And once an artist puts something out there that is new and innovative and people really like, there's going to be 1,000 reproductions of that almost instantly. Because it's going to get trained in the AI, and then the AI is going to put that out there, and lots of people are going to make stuff around that. Yeah. And that person is going to get, hopefully, royalties from all of that stuff because, hey, they had it copyrighted, or they had some like content verification. And so it's getting used in lots and lots of prompts. And so they're getting, information of that. So I think we're going to like cycle through styles more quickly because somebody will come up with something new and then it'll get reproduced in very, very quickly. And then it'll sort of go out of style real quick. And then the new thing will come out.
Well, and so I'm going to build on this a little bit because I think it's also, we're thinking about the people that could be very popular, but what about the people that are working in crafts like this, like day in, day out? If you're a graphic designer at a sign shop, or if you're somebody that's in a place that's not going to train that AI like holistically in such a way, like I feel like we've gone past this line where it used to be novel because it was scarce. It's supply and demand. So let's go back to the cave paintings. You didn't have a bunch of them out there. Like, this is amazing. Like, go check this one out. Yep. This Renaissance painting is amazing. There's only one of them. That's where you can get it. Now, flash forward to where we're at now, is you take that Renaissance painting, it's been trained on it, and now you can make 20 billion, iterations of it. And now we've saturated ourselves so much with it that there's a huge part of the population that doesn't give a crap. Yeah. They don't even care where it came from. And I feel like that's where we're starting to get to, is that the care for somebody else's craft is going away. And so I'm wondering, is the future that the paradigm shift is something a little different? Like, is it the experiences that you create? And like, so let's talk about Meowwoof, for instance.
Sure.
It's a very more interactive experience with art where you like experience it and you see it, and it's like a feeling that gets evoked in it because of its location, because of the art that's there, and it's a combination of a whole bunch of different things that have happened. Like, you have the film, you have the photos, you have the the lighting, you like compile something that can't just be spit out on a 2D screen.
Yeah. And
so we experience art now in more of a holistic kind of way, and that's the paradigm shift that you can say, like, did you go to Meowwoof Denver, Ryan?
Right.
Because that is the most unique possible way. You can't ever experience it any other possible way.
Well, and that's what we sort of hope is the future of this, is that everybody goes, right, you can spit out 2D things or even 3D things, and if all it is you're putting in a prompt and now you're getting an image out of it, that is too easy to do, and so we don't care about that anymore, right? It's commoditized and gone. Like, nobody, it may as well be an ad that nobody cares about, or just a pattern on something. It's just commoditized, and nobody people don't think about it as being like a thing that is hard to do with art. But I think then, like you're saying, art needs to change then at some point. It can't just be images that are on there. And that's why every time when I keep going to, art exhibits or things like that, I'm like, what is the new stuff that now that the AI is out there? Like, what are the ways that people are doing that in different ways? And I feel like I haven't seen it as much. I wish I did see more of that. Doing this research, I feel like I found some like art exhibits that are using things that are interesting, right? That are ways that like AI can sort of, help walk you through art, explain the art more, differently, sort of use AI in order to make the experience of viewing the art like more interesting. But I just think we're going to get to a point where like you just coming up with an amazing, or like showing an amazing illustration, no, it's not going to be interesting to people. So what is the next version of that is interesting that the computers can't do? And I hope that we just don't get to a point where AI could just create any of that, right? Like you hope that it sort of levels out. We talk about this quite a bit on the show where like we hope that it isn't this ramp up where just now AI can do anything, because then that doesn't let humans catch up and make things that are different and interesting ourselves, like, and let it be a tool. Like we hope that it stays a tool for as long as possible and we don't get to that AGI where it can just do anything.
And does all the, well, and I was thinking too, as you had the last couple streams, we saw, AI can make a full-on video game. So could it make the VR experience of a Meow Wolf kind of thing? And so now, like, even that is already taken over.
Or 3D print all of that stuff, and maybe a year later it's all 3D printed and it's in the thing, and it's a whole experience that you walk through, and then that gets torn down, and it's a different Meow Wolf there the next year and all 3D printed. Like, I could see that being a thing, and maybe that would be interesting as long as there feels like there is the heart and soul of artistry behind it. And I'm hoping that we as humanity can still recognize the difference, which I don't know if we can.
And that's where the idea behind this topic came up for me, is that I kind of maybe have a more pessimistic look on it, because if it's so damn easy that this grocery store can go and pop up a big sign that got printed, I was like, where was the skill in that? Somebody prompted something, sent it to a printer, and like really just a printer's like, okay, that's what you want, and he chucked it up, and now there's a sign out there. And I hate the idea that that's going to be what we're going to see more and more and more of.
Right.
And like, I even was getting to the point of what we've discussed before, where we're going to wear our glasses, or we're going to have our little contacts in, and we're going to be walking down the street, and what you see is going to be more catered to you based off what your AI does, and it's going to make all the signs look different than what mine does, and there's going to be really like a big divide between what humans made and what it's just like Ryan's preference, because I walk down the street and then AI is going to create an environment that I like.
And I mean, in some ways, that could be an interesting artist challenge, right? Like say that billboard that is AI generated now, right? I just pooped out because it took 2 minutes and I did a prompt and did it. But say in the future, Adam sees a different billboard than Ryan does, that Jason does, and Kathy does. Like, they're all slightly different. All of those need created. One artist would never be able to do that many, right? It would take weeks. It would take, further, like, to do all the different iterations of that. But maybe the artist is now being like, okay, well, I need to craft a cool thing for every different sort of variation of someone that is going to see this billboard. And because I can output a design for a billboard quickly, the new cool thing is like, it needs to be different for every single person. So now I'm training my AI agents to create billboards for lots of different scenarios and persona types and all of that. And that's what an artist is doing more than the craft of creating one specific thing. It's like they need to work with the scale of this to create it. And maybe that's where you're like, oh man, Ryan is an amazing designer because he can prompt his AI to come up with all these different scenarios and versions. And I respect that now because there's artistry and heart and time that goes into it. And so I don't feel like just some AI garbage that he's crapping out.
And I think, that's a hot take on how that could go forward. And I think where it gets a little, how do you contain it, and how do you like verify the authenticity of that? And I think that's where we start to think about, well, if we're moving forward with this billboard, how do we make sure that there's no one else can go copy it right quick and make a version of it, and that you have that unique connection with it? I would say, as I think about the future of it, it's almost like crafts or things that have gone to the wayside. So like, is there anybody doing cave drawings today, Ryan?
Right. Yeah. Or like lithograph prints or things like that. I mean, specialty,
they
probably
do.
Very specialized people do, but it's not mainstream anymore.
Not anymore. And I feel like, so there's going to be maybe these niche, this nostalgia for the past. As far as like the future of AI and where we're headed, like I feel that it's not like photography. It's like it's gotten so democratized that we've gotten over a hump right now.
Mm-hmm.
We've got over this place where we've kind of stole all of the possible humanity that we've had in creating art, and now we're spitting it out at some point that it's you can get 500 Renaissance paintings in like minutes, essentially, with AI, and you can go build an entire gallery of it, and it's not going to give you that same sense that somebody was sitting in front of this person and painting it out. And my point is that will that matter to some?
Yeah,
Will they care?
It's tough because I feel like when you grow up with caring about it in a certain way, you sort of keep that nostalgia and you do that. So if a robot painted with brush strokes an amazing painting, you might still say, not feeling it, right? Just like somebody who is before our time might listen to a song with like a drum machine, creating the drum machine bass line and say like, that wasn't done by a real person. Like I can sort of feel it and I have a sense of it. And I just think that like that was created by a machine and I don't like that. Whereas us who grew up with drum machines creating the bass and background of lots of songs go, that's fine. Like, sure, whatever. We get more songs because you don't have to have a person coming up with that beat in the background. You could just do it your own self. And I feel like that's what's going to happen with the younger generation. They're going to grow up with AI stuff and there's going to be a higher expectation of what that art is, but they're not going to care about it being, by one single artist or based on that sort of heart. I don't think.
And as I agree with you with this, and I think as we start to get to this point of kind of closing where we're at, because we're not soothsayers, we're not going to be able to figure out what the future is, but the trend to me at this point is there's a mind numbing, it's starting to water down, I think, some of what we used to appreciate. I have a vision in my head when I talk about this, and I imagine, walking down streets nowadays, or if you go down in a very busy kind of area, the billboards and signs everywhere, it's just like so saturated.
Sure.
And I feel like we're just going to continue to get more of that, where we're just going to become blind to some of those things out there that may have like evoked some sort of emotion from us. And then as we start to see so much imagery and visualization, like, why would you want to go to a museum when you have a gazillion other pieces of like visual stimulation that's around?
Why would you want to go to a museum right now?
And I would say the only thing is if it were to evoke an experience. I don't want to go and look at a bunch of paintings.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember the last time I went to a museum to look at paintings. And I've gone to museums and I remember even like being like, yeah, I'm going to stand here and I'm going to look at this and I'm going to feel connected to this person. And I think that there might be some nostalgia of me that wants to go through that. But I think the experiences are going to be what I want to see a little bit more of, is that maybe there's those same paintings, but they're done where the entire room is like giving me a different kind of connection.
You're just a more sophisticated consumer of art at that point. And you're like, I wanted to go beyond what it is right now and show me something new and different and cool. And that has to change dramatically and faster to keep up with the times at this point.
I can imagine that art could be almost like a short film or a movie. Like you start with the painting piece, but then you can interact with it in a certain way. So there's some boundaries on it, but then you're able to manipulate it a little bit and it feels a little bit more engaging, but it's still within the realm of what the artist. And I'll give you an example is that I'd done some VR work, and so this is maybe a little bit further back, but I remember being in a room where some artists had made some little like fun train set that was going around, and then you could interact with pieces of it, and it was very much the artist's vision of what it was, but I had autonomy to explore it deeper. And I think that those are the kind of experiences that I think a paradigm shift could do, whereas that you don't feel so as constrained to look at a 2D kind of piece of art, but that you're able to get a little bit more involved with it in such a way that it evokes a different kind of experience and feeling with you. So it goes to the root of that connection with it, but a little bit deeper and a little bit more than than what we've experienced in the past. And so how do we start to create those experiences? And like, maybe you're an artist, and the way that you become an artist is you do your life's work and ground it in AI and chuck it into like an experience where you're like, this is the Ryan art.
Yeah.
And now you can experience it.
I think you're totally nailed on something, which is just going to be different. It's going to be different than it is right now. And if the only way to do art before movies and TV and seeing it on every corner was to go to a museum, then that's what people did. And when that became boring and new things came out and new technology, then it moved and made and more interesting things came out and people gravitated towards that. And what I hope is that artists just keep gravitating towards that. Like you talked about, one of my hot takes for this is, and one of my sort of closing arguments, because we are getting, a little bit long in the tooth here, is that like you talked about, there's just going to be a bunch of garbage out there, AI slop filling up everything. Mm-hmm. And my only argument against that is like, there's still a bunch of terrible art out there. And bad UI and bad, like, all of that could be helped by doing more AI. Like when clip art came out, that helped people who were not art savvy to create things that weren't just type on a page, right? And it helped bring a little fun and a little creativity, and maybe it slightly looked better than just putting type on a page, right, that it was before. And it wasn't great, but it sort of it rose everyone's boats at the same time, and I'm kind of hoping that, like, yes, the sign that I see at the kids Halloween program to advertise their show, like no artist was going to sit there and do that, right? Like there was not going to be an artist that we were going to pay to do that. It was going to be the secretary, right? Or it was going to be some teacher that had 10 minutes to do it. And if the 10-minute version of that looks amazing now because of AI, like I'm sort of pro that. Like I want beautiful things in my life, right? Sure. And beautiful architecture and beautiful 3D printed stuff. And maybe there'll just be more of that because we have these AI that can help us build that. And artists will just have to try harder. They'll just have to come up with things that are more innovative than that and different than that and more evocative of emotion than it is right now. And yes, that sucks because it's going to take people who have spent a lifetime building up those skills. They're going to have the status quo is changing, and they're going to have to change, and they're going to have to learn new things. And like, I'm okay with that. I'm, like, that's just how life works. And that's how AI is going to take over everything, right? Every person, it doesn't matter if you're an artist or a writer or an executive or a leadership person or anything, you're going to have to change and level up your shit because AI is coming for the low hanging fruit.
And I think that's it. And where does it stop?
Yeah.
Where I mean, at what point does it be?
Is there no low hanging fruit, right? Or like all the fruit is done by AI? That's what I'm scared of at that point, that it goes so fast that in 10 years before we can even catch up, it's doing all it's figured out all the fruit.
Well, and that's where I get, and I don't want to end on a negative note, but the idea that, like, even we were talking about social media and the brain numbing, like being able to engage you and go through things over and over with this mindless, crappy stuff is still capturing some of our youth, or even myself in certain cases today. So no matter how hard and you put effort into something, is it going to move the needle?
Is the slop always going to be better?
Right. Or there's just so much of it that you're tsunamied with it that you have no ability to cut through it.
That your ability to create art by yourself at the scale that only a human being could do is so small that it just gets overwhelmed by the amount of AI that's out there. Yeah, I think that's absolutely true.
It's to be said, and I feel like we were so close to the rabbit hole
tonight.
Very
close. We always know it's right on the tip
but
of
we didn't. So if I were to sum my thoughts of tonight, is that I want to be hopeful, optimistic, maybe not so much, but hopeful that we can start to find ways through this, that we will have some connections. One of the things that I think is a sign of it is that I think maybe as humans that the slop or the constant the imagery that we see might actually get us to a point where we're like, we don't feel connected with it, that you actually resist it, and that humanity starts to say like, you know what, I'm not feeling fulfilled by being around all this bullshit. And there's movements of folks that want to start to see more human things that they can engage with, and that we're going to find some sort of new like renaissance of the old, and the nostalgia starts to bring itself back, and we're able to equalize and maybe balance each other out, because it's like it becomes so blind to the bullshit that we yearn for and need something that's going to be a little bit more human again.
I love that. That's a great sentiment to end it on. Thank you for this conversation, Adam.
Yes,
it's been really great.
It was a good one.
It really expanded my mind of thinking, about the future and kind of the past of where we've come from and where we're going. So I appreciate it.
As always, it's fun to hang out on the Hangout with Adam and Ryan. This was a good deeper dive for this. We have a couple more weeks before we get to our 24-hour stream. We got some insights in the stream tonight talking about maybe playing Bullet. Your rotoscoping.
I wrote down a thing of maybe we show some of our old art.
Ooh.
Like old art, thing of Adam and Ryan from just old things that we've collected and things, the things that we've created. Maybe there's like an hour in the middle of the night or whatever where we just show off a bunch of scans of fun
I would
drawings.
love it.
And yeah, that would be cool.
Let's help train AI.
I know, right?
No. I'm more than happy to feed the singularity as we go forward. So, well, Ryan, it's been a fun night. I'm down for if we want to play a game real quick. All right, who's out there? If we have enough people, we will play a game. I have Drawful ready to go in this other room. We talked about some art out there. If we have enough people, we have to at least 4 people. I don't know if you're out there.
If we can get at least 4 people playing.
All right, come on. You got to let us know in the chat there if you want to play some Drawful. We got Disturbed out there. There's
Disturbed
3
out there.
We need to get 4 though. Special 4, because I think it doesn't. Does it allow us to play with 3? I'll play with 3.
Yeah, totally.
All right.
Okay. All right. I've set up some stories for me to tell in this transition time. So I'll tell a Ryan story. I feel like the tattoo story was great from today. I should have saved that one. Okay. I have one that Adam is making this transition. I wrote down the time that Kathy and I nearly died in a hailstorm at the sand dunes. What was the prompt? We went to the sand dunes one time, Kathy and I, pre-children.
Yeesh.
Went out, didn't know what we were, getting into, didn't know really about Colorado changes in weather, about how it happens super fast. Went out to the sand dunes, walked out, way out into the sand dunes, little windbreakers on, barely in shorts, things like that. And then we saw these clouds coming over and we were like, oh man, maybe it's gonna rain or something like that. Maybe we should get out of here. And then literally within 2 minutes it went from perfectly fine day to raining and then hailing. And we were like, sheets of hail coming down. Right now I can't see even where the car is based on where we are. I don't even know which direction we're going. And I was like, if this starts hailing worse than this, what are we going to do? We're just stuck out here in the middle of the sand dunes. We don't even know where the car is. And so at one point I was just like, maybe we should just buckle down and just sit down on the ground and protect ourselves, our face, and just let the hail hit our back as it was getting really hard. And Kathy was like, we can't do that, man. We're just going to get we're killed by hail if that starts happening. And the hail started getting bigger and bigger. And I was feeling it. It was like, ouch, this hail is hurting as we were doing it. And by the grace of whatever, it let up a little bit and I could see where the car was. And I was like, we just got to run. And we just ran to the car from there in this little break between the hail and made it to the car, in that time. But I thought, man, that could have gotten real bad real quick. First time I had ever thought I'm going to die out here in nature because I was not prepared.
That's a great story, Ryan. Getting murdered by hail is where we're at. Come on in. We're going to be playing some Drawful on this end if you're ready to go. Like when you were out there was nothing you can get under. You were just getting pelted. Did you like look at your body at the bruises and the terrible things that were happening?
I mean, you've been to the sand dunes, right? It's not like there's tents out there. I mean, it's just a gigantic...
Bury yourself in the sand.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we were getting close to trying something like that. I was like, what do you do when you're just stuck in the middle of here? We can't... There's nothing around us. How do we even get out of here?
If you're going to join us on the stream for the 24-hour... Man, we have not been in this space forever. This was the starting point for it, right?
Yeah.
All right. If you're out there,
every time in here.
Hey, we got people dropping off. It's great. They listen to the stream. Now we're to like the land the plane part of the night. So it's been good to have everyone out there. Nice. So for those game players out there, jump on in with us because we are playing some Drawful tonight.
Jackbox.tv if you have that.
I do.
And we're going to jump in here to a game of Drawful 2. One of our favorite Jackbox games.
This is one of my faves for sure. Damn you, Ryan.
Every time it's like
I know. I had it ready to go. I had it absolutely ready, and here you are screwing me up.
All right. Draw myself.
We got 3 of us tonight. Stealth Mouse is probably passed out. I don't even know why I'm still awake right now.
It's just the adrenaline of the show keeping you going.
You were sleepy too.
Yeah, that's true. See, and the adrenaline kept me going, and I'm like,
sure
Drawful.
You sure it wasn't the Red Bull, Ryan?
Yeah, that's true. I did pound a Red Bull right before the show.
Yeah. It's a terrible drawing. Do you do more drawings of 3 or less? I can't remember.
Less, I think.
That's good. We got this.
Hello.
All right, got to start. Ooh, that's scary, Ryan. What the heck is this?
Yeah,
I love it. Oh, Shifty's like super mad too. I love that hat on that guy.
It's like the what's the rock guy from Fantastic Four? You would sometimes have that hat on.
Oh yeah. The thing.
The thing, yeah, thing.
I think
Nobody else? Nobody else? Yeah, there we go. The thing.
I guess it's a three. It's a
three-way
tonight.
It's a 3-way. All right.
Fair enough.
Boom! It's Drawful time.
This is getting
Looks
us
like
ready
we have
for
3 players.
Inktober.
Not
I know.
a raging party, but
Kathy's
less
going to do
people means we
Inktober
get
with
to do more
us.
drawings.
So we're going to
I'm
have
ready
at
to
least
get
4
things
people.
Ooh, we got to put it in a double drop
All
down.
right.
Yeah.
If you look at your devices right now, you should see a secret prompt just for you.
Holy crap,
Something
this is
kind of weird.
What? How am I going to draw
Like
this?
Giant
intense.
It's an
hammer
idea.
Or Hunky Woodrow Wilson. Am I right, ladies?
Okay, I have an
Draw a
idea,
picture on your device that would have that
but I
title.
feel like
and when
it's
you're
gonna
done,
be terrible.
hit send. You'll get points for each player that can correctly guess your title. So, good luck.
Holy crap. They're really testing me on this one. Oh shit, I just realized there's no...
No race. I
No
also
race.
did that and went, oh, okay.
shit. This is like the worst one I've ever had to do.
This is the worst drawful drawing I've ever done.
I spent so much time and it still came
30
out like
seconds
crap.
left to finish your drawing. Maybe you should just hit send now so you don't take too long and miss your chance.
I almost forgot how to play this.
All right. I forgot my water. I'm gonna grab my water.
Go get it.
Oh, good. All of you got your drawings in on time. Let's see the first one. Now, use your device to type in whatever the heck the prompt for this drawing could be.
Oh, see, I was first. God, no one is. Just when you come back and you look at something that you've done, you're like, yikes. AI does need to take over to make this all a little better.
Here are your choices. Which of these titles do you think really inspired this drawing?
All right. Come on.
And here are your picks.
Got you, Ryan. Yeah.
There it is. There it is.
This is like gonna be. It's gonna be hard if they don't have good.
Yeah, and they never do. That's the problem. Like the filled-in AI version.
Let's take a look at our next drawing. Type in a convincing title now.
I'm just gonna let you know it was mine. The eraser really screwed me on this one. Let's just say that.
Quick, type in anything. And here are your choices.
Ooh.
Let's see what people picked.
It was spelled wrong.
Boom!
It was spelled wrong. Good. It was supposed to be a wife, and I totally screwed it up.
I see. This is the wife?
No, it doesn't work.
I told you I needed an eraser. I was like, oh my god, how do you do a veil of a wife?
Oh man, yeah.
Should have done like a dress. I gave
Tied
some.
up.
There we go. All right.
And
I'll be
now,
looking at my answer.
another drawing.
This is clearly
people, just
Legos.
type-
The perky
Okay,
Legos.
here are your choices.
Nice.
Interesting. Huh.
And here are your picks.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Let's see if you actually got it.
Oh yeah, this is a. Oh no.
Good, you got it.
Did I? Oh, I got it.
Nice.
It looked like Ariel for a second,
Yeah. Nice.
but it was. I only got it at the last minute because of the stinkies.
Sting. Yeah. See, I didn't get stink lines. Is the thing.
It's
Good
time
job.
to draw again.
Okay, great.
You should know how this works by now.
Stick figures away. I definitely need a pen for this.
It's hard.
My chunky finger doesn't like it. Disturbs that it's also the 18th anniversary of Halo 3.
Huh.
Maybe we should. We should play an entire Halo.
Ugh, we always say that. The problem is it takes forever.
Yeah, but we have 24 hours, bro.
Yeah, I
Do it
guess-
through
I
the
guess
night?
That's true.
Like, do it on normal.
Which
would be
would
fun.
you want to play?
If Halo 3 has an anniversary,
Yeah.
I feel like we've always played 1. 2 is classic, but 3 was a generation shift, right?
Only 30 seconds left to finish your drawing. Maybe you should just hit send
Ding.
now so you don't take too long and miss your chance.
Ding, ding, ding.
All right.
Okay, let's take a look at your artwork.
Fine. Take a look at the artwork.
And now,
Ooh.
That's some
drawing.
good drawings over here. You must
Yeah.
have a tablet. No way.
and here are your choices.
Ooh.
It disturbs. He's like, I totally have a tablet. Damn it.
And here are your picks.
Yo.
Dang. All right.
Getting you, bro.
You should get me.
Did I get it though? Is
Yeah,
the thing. I don't know.
Did.
Did I? Oh.
Huge.
Because it was
stars.
over his face.
Yeah.
I almost went that other way though. I think you put that other one,
I
scarf
put
too
the
big.
Scarf too big.
I was very close. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And now, this one. Here are your choices.
Oh. Oh, Nickelback started. Man, this is tough.
Pick an answer.
Man. Uh-oh.
Think you
Pick,
got it?
Pick. Somebody is pick.
Not me.
And here are your picks.
Yep, that was it.
Oh, was it?
That was it.
Nice. It was the feet on it. I don't think. I think it must have like froze up because he wasn't able to.
I was like,
Join.
yeah. I was trying to. That was another one where like, this is too small. I can't make it look like the little feet.
But I got it.
Yeah,
It was
job.
good.
Let's take a look at our next drawing. Okay, here are your choices.
Oh man.
25.
Oh!
Do you get points if you guess it right? I think you do, right?
Yeah.
Let's see what people picked.
Nice.
Ding.
Oh man.
Got it.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
No, you did-
We just tricked each other.
Yeah, you did.
Go, because I was like, I put glass house, and then I was like, well,
Takes a lot of confidence to shower there.
I gave you an award for it too. 'Cause it was close.
it was.
Oh, wow.
Good job, man.
Oh yeah.
Big time winner.
I took it for this evening.
Yeah, great job.
Oh.
Nice.
Oh, you tied it up. Great.
Hey. All right, good job.
That was fun. All right. Well, as always, a fun time on the
Yeah.
Hangout with Adam Ryan. Thanks for hanging out with us to the end. Disturbed. It was a good game. And
Everybody
Man.
else.
everyone that has jumped, we had the new person with us tonight.
Totally.
That was
New-
great.
New person commenting. It was great.
I think we had some energy
It
going in
was.
tonight. Like we were both like, "Oh my god, I'm tired," but
Yeah.
I really appreciate the conversation. I wanted to have the conversation with you in
Yeah.
general because of your background with art, so I really appreciated that tonight.
No, it was good. Super fun. Everyone have a great weekend going into the weekend. Hope you have a chill Friday. Whatever you're doing, time for Adam to eat his ice cold pizza.
Ice cold pizza. I'm gonna get you some. I always order my pizza without meat because
Oh.
I know you're a vegan and I want to
Appreciate
give
it.
you at least a piece of it.
Appreciate
so,
that.
in any case, you have a good one. Until next time, we will be thinking about. Thanks for the insights on the 24-hour stream. I think we
I
got
feel
some
like
good
we'll be getting
ideas.
lots of cool stuff. All right.
Good night.
Good night,
Yes, get some
everybody.
sleep. Hey, Mike Azul, have a good night. Thanks for hanging out with us. Pizza for the road. All right.
Road pizza.
I'm going to go and load up all this stuff onto the website.
Oh, hey,
all right.
nice.
Peace out. See ya.